Big Deal podcast. I'm Codie Sanchez, and today we have a man who is not only able to predict the social media trends of today, he's been doing it for the past 30 years. He's got an audience of millions every single day listening to him about how do I go viral? How do I build big businesses? What is going to happen in the future? And today we get into stuff that he's never talked about before. But what I think is most interesting about what we talk about today is he's going to make some predictions on what's going to happen with AI for all of us. He is going to tell us the secret place to find underpriced attention. So how do we get more money into our businesses by double tapping on this? And he's also going to hit you with what I consider to be like, I don't know, an adrenaline shot level of intensity about why to keep going, how to keep going when things get hard, and what it takes to be a business owner that survives over the long term. Gary Vee is somebody who's become a friend of mine over the past year, and listening to him talk about things I've never heard him speak about before on the internet was really a true pleasure. So I hope you guys have as much fun as this one. I'm going to listen back to it because I want to build businesses as big as this man did. Without further ado, Gary Vee. Because when I was looking at your investment Rolodex, holy hell, you have invested in some giant company. I don't think people know half the things about you fully on the internet, but like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Uber, Snapchat, Coinbase. I mean, I could go on and on and on. So how do you smell like a founder that's going to win? How do you know what characteristics a great founder or CEO has?
Very early on in my career, when I didn't consider myself an investor, I was unstoppable. Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr were my first three investments of my life. I only judged what I smelled. I went on pure intuition about the human and the thesis. I wanted to like the idea, and they were far enough along. I wasn't an angel round. Yeah. They were a little further, more an A or pre-A. Then I thought I was a hero because I was red hot, and I started to like read TechCrunch and spend time in Silicon Valley, and I got caught in an era, a 3-year era, where I invested in just the idea, and I thought what I didn't realize at the time, what I was doing is, oh, this is a good idea, and I knew how to run it. I put myself into the CEO chair, started spending less time analyzing the person, went through an era of ideas, and I lost. I invested in a company called Yobongo that basically became, 2 years later, an app called Tinder came out and was Yobongo. I loved Yobongo, but the kid was a young kid, and I didn't spend enough time analyzing his stomach, his merit. And this was the explosion of like smart kids and engineers becoming founders.
Sean is an animal, the founder of Tinder.
Sean, and yes. And so but Sean, that was like 2 years later. Elliot, I think that's what his name was, like, I didn't analyze him. So what has worked for me? What has worked for me now, when I try to think about it, I think about, do I like the jockey and the horse, right? This hat that I'm wearing, Siegelman Stables, right? Max and Caro, you know, they're a couple and they're a team. I love them. They're gangsters. They've got it. And in the world of Kith and Rude and Palace and Jerry, Fear of God, I understand the business of, when you're the hottest up and coming fashion brand, it's a business. You know what I mean? You can get to a 9-figure exit from a LVMH or da-da-da. So, you know, I'm looking for the jockey and the horse now. The jockey being the entrepreneur, the horse being the business. I need to like both and understand both.
So say I'm sitting across from you, and like, you're either going to hire me or invest in my company. What are you asking me to tell if you like me or not, or want to take a bet on me? Usually,
here's how it goes. I'll go with, hey, Cody, hey, so nice to meet you. I'm so excited about this. Tell me everything. Literally, that's what I will say. Tell me everything is kind of a it's not like my go-to question. It's just what I happen to think. It's what I happen to mean. Tell me everything. Like, as much as you want to tell me either about yourself or the business, go. I listen carefully, and then my series of questions is predicated on what I listen to. I'm counterpunching the reality of what I heard. I don't have a go-to other than, I need as much context as possible from you right now about you or it. I'm 49, have been pretty much successful in anything I've run, and have had plenty of winning and losing in investment. I can listen and know where I want to go. Sometimes after that code, it's over. Like, even off the rip, right? Like it's over because, you know, at this point I have such a public life too. Like I can feel when someone's pandering to like, well, Gary, I love the hustle and the grit and I love flip. Like, you know, I can tell when someone's trying to game me. And then even if they're trying to game me, I won't even like, that doesn't eliminate them. That's just a data point.
Right.
Again, because I'm now 49, 22. So for 27 years, for 27 straight years, every day of my life, I have had to be responsible to make payroll with no funding. 27. Like I'm a real, actual operator. And so it's very easy for me to ask questions, you know?
How fast can you tell?
Sometimes immediately. It's like, you know, like many of us listening know what love at first sight feels like, right? Or crush at first sight, everybody knows. Or like immediately knowing. I'm incredibly intuitive. My emotional intelligence is disproportionately my go-to. So I can tell right away. I can't tell right away if I'm going to hire someone or invest or if someone's a genius. I can tell right away the things I'm feeling. Like this is potentially someone remarkable. I can always tell when someone's just an average C player right away. You know what I mean? Pretty quickly. But again, C players for my businesses when I hire, I love a good C because I think we have a system to get people to Bs. And I think Bs are great.
Mm-hmm. So you are okay with B and C players. Let's talk about that actually.
I think most companies, when you're at scale, need plenty of B and C players. A players are always looking.
How do you define that though then? Because it's like, you don't want to have a culturally toxic C player. So I mean, what's the difference?
By the way, I think my 5 posts ago on Instagram is give me an A+ personality and a C player because C personality is death on arrival. C. Let alone D and F, and there are plenty of those people. No, I'm talking about like, you know, brain power, you know, like firepower, right? Like not everyone's the sharpest fucking most, you know, like it's just real life. Work ethic. You know, work ethic you can't really tell in an interview. I feel like work ethic's one that you can see more play out and then you decide. I just think that we in my companies care to level people up and we continue to get better at it. And that's really working for us at scale. So I have a lot of retention. But yeah, I think I'm looking for firepower, intellectual firepower, personality traits. I'm trying to poke at like self-awareness. I look for humility. I'll give you one that is always let down. Hey, Cody, I'm super excited about this. You know, you're going to come in and be at a VP level at Vayner, which is a big role. I think the VP director role at my company is really running the companies above the SVPs and the C-suite. You know, we're in an interview, I'm saying that, and then I'm like, Code, real talk, like don't bullshit. I'll say it like this, hey, real talk, don't bullshit me because I'm gonna find out anyway and I want you to be here a long time and I want you to win here. Give me one of your shortcomings in your career. When people go to, Gary, sometimes I care too much and I really like that, I'm like, it's over. You know what I mean? Like, give me something real, please. You know what I mean? Like, it's
I work too hard.
It's like why, when I realized, you know, 5 to 7 years ago, that lack of candor, which is crazy because Gary Vee's candor is off the charts. But Gary Vaynerchuk, the executive, when I realized lack of candor, I struggled giving critical feedback. Yeah. And then the firings would be sloppy because of that, because people would be surprised. When I really had that moment in the mirror with myself, what am I, maybe 49, maybe 42, 43, 44. When I had that moment, literally the next day I started putting it out publicly. That's when I wrote 12 and a half. Because I literally wrote an entire book because I wanted to put out there my shortcoming of candor.
Mm-hmm. Which people probably like almost don't believe because
correct,
they're like,
because my strength is candor as a public figure talking about things. Yep. But Gary Vee and Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm the same. I think, you know, one of the things I always smile about is when people work for me or get to know me, they're like, it's so cool that you're I'm the same, but it's a different context. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking to the blank world right now versus someone who's worked for me for 3 years. Here's where my bleeding heart becomes a vulnerability. You stink at Vayner for the last 6 months. It's now a problem. You've been there for 5 years. You've given it all. You've always really given it all. It's a problem. We're leveling up. It's a problem. People around you are fucking pissed. You're not good enough. You're getting paid more than people that are better than you underneath you. It becomes a problem. But I know, because I'm so HR oriented, but I know that your dad has cancer. And I know that you just broke up with your boyfriend. And I'm struggling to fucking fire you. I don't know what else to tell you. It's fucking hard. The end. I don't know what else to say.
Never feels good. It doesn't. But I think also, you know, one of the cool things about you is you are so big. You've been around for so long publicly that also the tough part is sometimes, you know, that's the person that's coming in and firing you, or that's the person that's giving you the critical feedback. It's like this extra fucking layer on top of everything else.
You'll appreciate this. I love you for that. You're right. For some, at 22, at 26, at 29, at 31, at 34 in the wine store when nobody on earth knew who I was, it was my biggest weakness.
Yeah, interesting. So still always the same.
There was a level of confidence / potentially ego. I always thought I could make it better. Like I definitely would have been the girl that would have went after like fucked up dudes because I thought I could make them better. I would have definitely been that girl. 100,000%. I know it inside.
Like,
I know it.
Fix him.
Yeah, and not like in a fucked up way, in an optimistic way. Not in a like I'm a psycho in a you know, and the problem for me is I have. My problem in a lot of ways is there are many people within my organization's startups, friend groups, boards I'm on, because I'm so into guidance counselor, coach, therapist energy, and I have such a yin and yang because of the emotional intelligence, but because of the operational and because of like just wanting to kind of do to the world what my mom did for me, I've been successful at it. I'm just like, names are running through my head right now where like people started off at like a 3 emotionally and are at an 8 strictly because I put my fucking hand on their shoulder. Every teacher, therapist, coach, guidance counselor knows what I'm saying right now. And you know how rewarding that is? Like I've changed the course of this human being's life. I'm doing that with content to the world, let alone imagine someone I can put my hand on their shoulder. So it becomes intoxicating in like, it feels good to help other people for certain people. I know many people don't feel the way I feel, but for me, it feels good. I like it. It feels like the right thing to do.
What is the opposite of that? What is like the advice that you keep having to repeat that you know people need to listen to and they just don't?
By the way, every single thing I say, patience, like insecurity, don't keep up with the Joneses, fuck materialism, eat shit. Like it's both the left and the right struggle with me and like me, right? Because in one side I'm like compassion and all the feelings and everyone's like, ah. On the other side I'm like kill every fucker, it's all because it is purple. Because life is purple. The reason there's so much tenseness right now is the world, the youth, the elderly, the left, the right, the 40s, every generation, Z, X, Y, boomers, alpha, we're fighting for it's red or it's blue. I'm like, motherfuckers, it's purple, you fucking idiots. You fucking idiots. It's fucking purple. How the fuck don't you understand that? So, you know, what people struggle with everything I say. You know, when I tell parents that you gotta stop giving your kids money after they're 22, every parent right now listening who's got a 27-year-old on the payroll doesn't like getting poked like that. But I'm on the receiving end of all this fucking depression DMs from 28-year-olds that are on the payroll. Because parents don't realize if you're paying for your kid when they're a grown adult, you're telling your kid you don't believe in them. Through your actions, not your words. They know they're a loser. Yeah, that shit hurts. You know?
So what do the parents say to you when you say that? Like, what's their excuse for continuing to do that?
You know, in the most private conversations, it's just service level justifying. You know, like, oh, you don't know my son, like he had this issue. I'm like, everyone had issues. Do you understand every person in the 80s in New Jersey got bullied? Every single kid I grew up with got bullied. The popular ones, the not popular. Like, we've started making these words so big. I told somebody yesterday, Don't use the word anxious. You're not. You're inconvenienced.
Great line.
You know, like we've now just gotten so deep into this shit. This is why so many people are struggling. We've given them permission to not do and fight and fix. Ooh, I've never said it that way. We have given people with all these big words. Do you know what imposter syndrome is? It's called insecurity. We've just given it makeup. Nobody's like, yo, I'm insecure. Nobody says that, Code. But so many people are like, man, I have imposter syndrome. Makeup. Got it? The definition, literally the definition of imposter syndrome is slang for I'm deeply insecure. But nobody comes around and says I'm insecure. But everybody, I have anxiety. People say they have depression when they don't. And that fucks up for people that actually do. I feel bad for the people that actually do.
It's a great point.
And it's confused everybody. Everybody, like, do you know how bad I feel for all the people that own big businesses who, like, every person's like, I need a mental health day, and they're like starting to cancel mental health days. And meanwhile, of the 100 people that are abusing it because they just want to play video games or doing fucking nothing, because I lived that life. Do you know how many sick days I had from 1982 to 1994? 1 million. I tried to get out of school every day. And boy, when 5th grade Gary found out that legally they had to send you home if you went to the nurse and weren't refusing to go back, well, I fucking cooked. I mean, that was everything to me. That discovery, I don't know if I've ever been happier in my life. In 5th grade, somehow, I don't want to bullshit. I don't remember how, but I learned that you could actually you could just stick in, if the nurse said go back to class, you're like, I don't feel well, that if you kept going, they had to send you home. I mean, I didn't, so
Didn't your immigrant parents beat your ass for that?
What was funny, this is why I put my mom on a super pedestal. My mom knew that getting A's in school was not going to lead to my success and happiness. And she did something most parents weren't willing to do and are still not willing to do. And she didn't give a fuck what everybody thought about my D's and F's. Got it? She knew me.
But is that because somewhere else you were showing her obsession?
Of course.
Because if you were a parent that just was like, D's and F's, fuck off, that would be.
She's the same lady that looked at me on my 14th birthday and said, you know how you suck at school? I'm like, yeah. She's like, now you work. I was 14. 14, Code.
I like her.
Like, I worked every weekend, every summer. My last childhood moments, like childhood, ends in 8th grade. There was no fun in high school for me. There was no, I worked because I had to pay the consequences of not working in the classroom. Thank God for me, work was my nirvana. Like, thank God for me, I loved my parents so much. Thank God for me, I knew as a teenager that I had it because I was doing baseball card shows at 11 and 12 and grown men. You know, this is why I love, that's where I was getting validation from. In school, I was getting D's and F's, and grown-ups were telling me I was gonna be a loser. Teachers in the 80s didn't fuck around. I had teachers like Dr. DeBella in Martin Luther King Elementary School in 1987 said I was going to be a fucking loser.
Makes you feel any better. My math teacher told me Helen Keller would have a better shot of winning an archery contest than I would have been in finance.
Oh my God, 100%.
But God, what great fuel. Honestly,
yeah,
pretty thankful.
Yeah, But then I was doing baseball card shows at 13, making $800, while the grown up to the left and right at my table were making $300 because it was a crappy show. And my mom picks me up at Sunday night to pack up and drive me home. And I've got two 30, 40, 50-year-old men telling my mom, your son's a genius. Because I was doing all sorts of weird shit that nobody else was doing. And so, yeah, I mean, that was...
what?
Like the dollar rack. I was selling 50, 60, 70 cent and $1.20, $1.30 cards that you can't move those cards. But because I merchandised them as a dollar rack with a huge sign, everybody just stopped by and bought cards. My friend Brandon Warnicki, who's still in my life, we met at 14, we did baseball card shows. He runs the wine library. I talk to him every day. He's one of the few humans on earth I talk to every day. I mean, he was baffled by the dollar rack. When I put it out, he was like, that's not gonna work. And then 3 hours later, there's not a card left in the dollar rack. Merchandising matters.
Explain what that is to somebody who doesn't know what merchandising is.
How a human sees it on the other side. When you walk into, like, you know how like some of you like, it's very simple. It's like, think about the best way to describe merchandising is to describe to everybody their home. Some of us, like me, are comfortable and slobbery. You know, crap on the floor, room doesn't smell. I mean, I was a fucking cliche dude, right? Like laundry on the ground, like room smells like shit, like things everywhere, like who gives a fuck? Like don't even do laundry, like where to sit. In my teenage, oh my God, such a dude. Other people can't even fall asleep in their apartment, in their like room, unless the fucking scent is perfect, everything's perfect. Like, good. So like how something shows up for you. I get excited walking up to a garage sale where shit's all over the place. But let me take a different angle on it. So that's the setting. Now imagine like, why are you grabbing something when you buy? Like I always ask myself, after I do it, why did I just pick that up? It's on the end cap. It's at the register. That sign, the presentation. By the way, merchandising is the fashion industry. You know, like presentability, but like what compels someone to grab an item. That's always what I thought about. The sign, the positioning, the location within the store, the eyesight level. Do you understand that retailers like think like I think like a retailer, like what's at eye level is what sells. Bottom shelf doesn't sell. When I used to get mad at a supplier, if we didn't have like good negotiations or like they weren't supporting us, I took their most important products and put it on the bottom shelf. Merchandising, you know, I obsessed when I was 15. When I was 15, 16, I was allowed to go upstairs. Before that, I was downstairs in the warehouse. And when I was at the register bagging for the cashier, which is what I was doing, and then I became a cashier at 16, I could see how people walk, based on where my dad's registers were, I could see people walk in, and we were slow. We were still a local store at that point. I would watch every customer. They'd walk in, what do they grab, why? So it's presentation, how your table's laid out. It's why I was good at UI and UX when the internet came along. All the designers in 97, 98, 99, 2000 were like, yo, you're really good at this. Because I thought like a consumer, like why would they click that button? What about below the fucking scroll? What about the checkout? I literally had, you know, empty cart or like lapsed cart or whatever it was called. What the hell was it? Abandoned carts. I remember going to my developer in 2000 being like, can we see who didn't check out? It was like, you gotta understand this is early internet.
Yeah, it didn't exist. Like because you're thinking in the store, hey, that guy's walking out. Like, sir, did you not find something that's what you would do?
Exactly
right?
what I would do. So I was like, is there an internet? Wait a minute, there's an internet version of this. I'm like, Eric Kastner, big shout out to him. Eric, can you see in the code? Like, I don't even know what to call it. The code, the server. We used such funny words back then. He's like, yeah, we started emailing people that had abandoned carts and fucking crushed. So like, you know.
Merchandising it's so funny because the other day this was 2 days ago, I went to the Harry Potter store here.
Nice, yeah.
And the reason why, same thing you said, who's better at merchandising in the fucking world than the entertainment space? Yeah. And I think arguably Harry Potter, probably one of the best of our lifetimes, right?
It's one of the incredible IPs that we saw birthed.
Exactly. And when you walk into that store, it's always packed. And it is huge margin. It's incredibly well designed, and like they rotate merch, but what I've kind of noticed is they don't rotate it that much.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they always have to have some new.
Are you a huge Harry Potter fan?
I'm a big Harry Potter fan, but I'm not crazy about it.
You're not crazy, but you're very solid.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so watching that taught me a lot about, okay, well, if we're ever going to do merch, how do we do this right? How do I make every person who comes in, they have those little greeters, you know, Sam Walton. I loved that. He was like looking to cut costs, but also put a greeter in front because he realized, oh, it makes people feel different too. Like they're special for coming in the store.
To that point, I do that too. I don't like the middle. So I would say what I see with a greeter at Walmart is not playing in the middle. It's like price, convenience all the way here on the right, but then spend on things that others don't spend on because it changes the context of the relationship. I always talk about scale the unscalable. Actually, here's a tidbit. I believe one of the great misses right now for all of the characters like you and I and everybody else that's aspiring to like win on content and brand is community management. I really do believe that way more people need to DM everyone back. If you and I do not have that bandwidth. But I'm telling you right now, if you're just kind of getting into your early stages and you have like 10,000 followers and you're posting and you're getting 14 comments, you're getting 13 DMs a day, reply to all of them. Scale the unscalable. That's how I built Gary Vee, by the way. Content and replying to everyone on Twitter from 2007 to 2011.
You kind of still do it on scale, because I remember when I came and spoke at BCon. I came and spoke. That's normal. I'll go speak at people's events. It's an amazing event. I had a great time. Very seldom does the head of the entire event ask to get my phone number and text me direct. That's really actually not that scary. I mean, how many speakers did you have there? Hundreds.
Yeah.
Not to mention that's not your only event. Not to mention you're doing these all over the world. That's actually not even that scalable for you.
Yep.
And so it seems like there's different levels to the game, but you still do the unscalable even at the highest level of the game.
I think the dirt and the clouds are the only interesting parts of the game.
That's good.
Yeah, and so even in my own organization, people ask me how I scale Vayner, and I say 10, 80, 10, and they're like, what does that mean? I go, when we're doing important shit, I tell the team I have to be involved in the first 10% because I'm molding it. Then I disappear, and then you need to come back to me to close it. I open and close. The middle's the problem, and winners and people aspiring to build big things spend way too much time in the middle. Meetings. I've famously internally and a little bit externally obsessed with 15-minute meetings. I had an epiphany. I was like, fuck, I crushed the dirt, the 15-minute meeting. I'm fucking up the clouds. I have a lot of 1-hour meetings that are actually 3-hour meetings. I've done more offsites, 2-3 day offsites this year. We're not even halfway through, than I've done in the last 10. And it's been monumental. I had this epiphany in November, December of last year. I'm like, wait a minute, I've got the 15-minute meeting down. But this is about like feeling your feelings. I could feel that a lot of important meetings that were an hour weren't getting wrapped up. So now I'm doing a lot more 2- and 3-hour meetings and even 2- and 3-day offsites, 10, 80, 10.
That's a great framework, because otherwise it does seem too much and you can get stuck in micromanagement forever. You're like, I'm trying to build a business. Gary and Codie, you said do that. And I need to have my hands on everything and I need to care about the dirt, but you can't all the time.
Oh my God, I would argue for your audience, like the SMB audience, like the mainstream audience, the number one reason they lose is they spend all their time in the 80. That's why my dad got small, didn't go as big as he could. He wanted to know everything. He wanted to touch everything. Many small business entrepreneurs are just trying to be solopreneurs. They don't realize it. They're scared of stealing, insecurity, someone getting better at it and leaving. There's all these millions of different things that people are worried about. 10, 80, 10.
What do you think that young entrepreneurs are sleeping on right now?
So many different things. When you know this, we've had the luxury of living just a little bit. We're still pretty young in the scheme of things, but I had so many, when I talk about my career, my life, I always think it's a homage to my parents and my circumstance. And so I had a lot of things figured out at 23, right? My mom really actually built self-esteem. I continue to believe that most people get successful because of insecurity, and there's a rare breed that gets there through confidence. And I'm so grateful that I'm in that small group, and I see it in others. But that's not me. That's how I was raised, and just the circumstance of being born in the Soviet Union and Jersey boy in the 80s and a million other things that are not me. I think a lot about the youth, to your point, and there's just a lot. I think, first of all, both men and women, I think we throw it on men, but I see it in a lot of young women, we want to get validation from the masses. It was always a vulnerability pre-social media, pre-internet, to want validation from the outside. But the outside in 1974 and 1983 was the Joneses, AKA your neighbors. That was like maybe your church, maybe your neighbor, it was tight. Maybe the people in the office, it was small. There's an extraordinary amount of wanting to show that you're successful going on. So I think one thing that a lot of the youth is struggling with is an extreme need for the Lambos, the watches, the followers, the cash, the trophies, the accolade, just so much outside validation. I think there's a lot of lack of self-awareness. I think that in general, that's a human thing, but meaning I think a lot of people chase the trend, whether it's, cannabis or NFTs or crypto or flipping or and listen, I'm curious about a lot of trends, but I think a lot of people are like, I'm going to do this because this is where I can make my millions. So I think I believe that one of the great ways to actually be successful is to truly know the things you like because you'll work that hard. Like, I don't think I could ever work as hard as I did if I didn't enjoy it. I couldn't muster it up. It's why I don't, back we were talking right before we started the gym, this morning was a grind. Yeah, like to me it was like, I really didn't want to, I really don't want to. And my gym, my eating discipline, my doing things around the house, these are fully procrastinations. These are laziness. This is avoidism. This is non-accountability. This is like, look, a bird over there, run away. Like, I do the reverse and work because it's my love. I do the reverse in playing basketball. I like it. I'm like, should definitely not be playing. I like it. I go out of my way. I was just saying to you, my back was hurting all week and I played last night. That was like crazy. So I think if you love what you do, you will do the things that actually are required to be successful, which is persevere through the daily shit, right?
It's hard to beat.
So I think those two things really stand out to me. And then the things, like I always laugh when I'm about to say it because I know some people are like, Gary, but like I do struggle with an obsession to try to teach these kids about patience. I literally punted my 20s and early 30s because I was obsessed with building a business for my parents. But I truly had nothing at 34, truly actually. Like when I started VaynerMedia, my biggest company, we started it in a conference room the size of this podcast studio in another company's conference room because I couldn't pay rent.
How big is it now?
Now it's 2,000 plus people, 350 million a year revenue, not valuation.
Oh, you run a profitable business that actually makes money? Shocking.
So it's a big business, and
that's only one of yours. Like how many? I was looking it up today. It's like Vayner 3, Vayner Sports, Vayner RSC, VFriends, which I think is a different entity. How many like Vayners you got?
There's VaynerX, the holding company that holds like 7 or 8 of the that's the marketing agency holding company.
Okay.
Outside of it is Vayner Sports because that's a separate business. That's me and my brother. My brother runs that with Greg Gensky. That's becoming a pretty big business. We rep over 100 athletes, might even be close to 200 now. A newer one is Vayner Watt, W-A-T-T for Eric Wattenberg. That's a TV production company. Our first shows are going to start hitting the air here in the fall, and like that's starting to move and groove. VFriends is the other biggest business I run. That's my Marvel Pokemon. It's an intellectual property. I do actually believe in my 80s. That's what I will be known for more than anything else I've done.
And probably nobody understands that right now, right? Like when you launch it, they thought, this quick little NFT thing.
Yeah, I mean, most people don't understand me and Vayner. Most people don't know VaynerX. Most people, when they just heard 350 million, like when people come to Vayner, they're like they're like, what is this? I'm like, this is my company. They're like, most people think I'm a motivational speaker or a content creator, which is fine. I mean, I'm not overly worried about it. VCR group, I have a very substantial restaurant group that's going very well. We have that Fly Fish Club, which was also an NFT membership.
It's just there.
Yeah, it's really going well.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it's crushing, which is good because that was very high risk, high reward. You open up that kind of 8-figure build out, and the restaurant business is not nice. It's the hits business. Yeah, you should hate them. It's restaurants and sports agencies, bad businesses. Yeah. Passion though. Chef Capon, Chef Connor, David Rodolitz, my 3 partners in that business, this is their life. My brother punted a lot of money because he just wants to be a sports agent. And now he's starting after a 10-year itch of like, hey, what else should, so I think it ebbs and flows. So anyway, long-winded, I wish kids were like, no, I really love sailing. Let me start a business around sailing, whether it's content creation. Let me go work for someone who's in the sailing business for 5 years, learn and figure out. Like that move, like when people hear me say this, they're like, but Gary, how do I do that? I'm like, why don't you go work for somebody in comedy, in the fashion, like everyone has just decided like I can start a business, and most people are not talented enough in their teens or 20s to build a viable business just yet.
Yeah.
The thing
is miserable.
Well, yeah, you know this. Most people, this was a real wake-up call for me when entrepreneurship got cool in like the mid-2010s, like 2010, 11, 12, 13. Everyone started running towards it. And I had always been there. I didn't realize how hard it was for people that weren't natural born. But then it made sense to me because I was a really poor student. And like, I just think some people know how to do school. I wasn't one of those people. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be hard for these people. Because, you know, it's because unlike school, like I never did homework and failed every test, and the system pushed me through. My school system didn't want people to stay back. They were going for a blue ribbon. They just pushed me through. I literally sit here today, no fucking bullshit. In my 4 years of high school, I never opened a book, never did homework, never studied for a test, never did a book report, never did a project, and they just pushed me through.
Yeah. Which I'm not sure that's good or bad, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably neither, but in business, entrepreneurship, the land of business merit, there's no pushing through. Like, if I did that same thing in business, I'd be out of business very quickly and back at a job. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I saw this stat today, actually. It was on Twitter. And it was, because you always talk about how hard it is.
Yeah.
You know? And so there was this tweet today that was like, read this if you're not as rich as you want. And it was the odds of making it. That in the US, 1 in 1,000 make over $1 million in a year. 1 in 11,000 over 10 million, 1 in 35,000 over 20 million. And so the truth is, if you want to make it, you need to be an absolute freak of nature, basically. You have to have outlier behavior. And I was curious what you think and how hard it actually is, because you're oftentimes telling all of us it's going to be harder than you think.
I'm 49. When the number went from, when I was a kid, the number was if I could make 100,000 a year. I grew up in lower middle class kind of like vibes, more lower middle class. 100K seemed I mean, I myself, with, you know, I'm 15 years old, I'm going to buy the Jets one day, but there was another part of my brain that was like, man, the only time I was pumped professionally, financially, was when I broke the 100,000 barrier in a year. No other time. No other time. When that number for the masses became 1 million versus 100,000, shit got ugly. Like, just like, do you know how fucking hard it is to make $1 million a year? Like, really, actually? And the problem for someone like you and I, if we've gotten there and we spend all our time around people that have gotten there, it doesn't feel rare. One of the great things that has always happened in my career is again, because of where I grew up, I always thought about the other so one of the first offices I opened for VaynerMedia was Chattanooga, Tennessee. Not LA, not San Francisco, not Tokyo, not London. And one of the reasons I did that was I always wanted to be grounded to everything. Up, down, left, right. When you go to Chattanooga, Tennessee, if you make $1 million a year, you're fucking on a pedestal. And by the way, Chattanooga has a wealthy area, old Coke money. There's some great entrepreneurs there.
And it's nice.
Yeah, it is
clean.
Nice. I like Chattanooga. But look, I think that it's incredibly hard, and I don't know why people think it's easy. And I do know why I think people think it's easy. In the 80s, there was Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. In the 90s, there was like, you know, My Crib, you know, the Crib show on MTV Cribs. Now 24/7, people are looking at propaganda in their feeds of watches and vacations. And I say, because I keep hearing everyone wanting to blame Instagram and wanting to blame social media, I say, stop consuming it. You know, like, if you're motivated by it, great. I don't believe that most people are motivated by it. I think most people get jealous and envious, get insecure, and so, yeah, I think it's super hard because, again, over-coddling parenthood in the last 40 years, school is bullshit system, government's bullshit system, most systems are bullshit. The only two systems that aren't, like, the most not bullshit system in the world is sports. When little Ricky goes on the field and he's 9, if he sucks at basketball or soccer, like, it's exposed, no matter how much daddy and mommy want to make up some excuses or, right?
Used to be.
Yeah, I mean, parents are really getting their hands in shit, but still, they'll go and fight a teacher. Like, parents in the 80s didn't, when you got a C, your mom and dad didn't go to school and fight a teacher and try to get a B. They do that now. But even though I'm in this circles, I have a 15, 12-year-old, 16 now, and 12-year-old, like growing up in this last 7 to 10 years, parents want to go on the field and kick the ball for their kid. People want to go do something, but they can't. And then thus the kid gets exposed. Sports is the most merit. The next closest is business. The reason I say it's not the same is, you know this, people are like, I'm a 3-time exiting founder. I'm like, you raised $10 million and sold it for $200,000. Exactly. You're a fucking loser. You're not, You know what I mean? So people can bullshit a little bit in business. There's, there is but it's 80% to sports. And I guess in hindsight, I was attracted to merit my whole life because those are my two passions.
I love a game where you know who wins and loses because it tells you if you're good or not.
That's right.
So do you think, like, when you see that stuff online, I'm not a big showy person, don't get me wrong, and I like nice shit. Like,
you're loud. By the way, everyone's allowed.
Totally, but I think it's almost an immediate red flag when I see somebody showing the Gucci, Fendi, Prada, the fast cars, and the private planes. I immediately go, I don't know. If you really had that, you got to flex it. What do you think? Like, if you're talking to a young person, you're saying, don't fucking follow people that do that.
Yeah, listen, I've taken some lumps from a lot of contemporaries who get mad that I talk about this because so many of them are in it. Look, I think that first of all, it's so funny where my chemicals just went. One of the great things, and it's funny because I pontificate and share and ponder online 24/7. First of all, just to set the ground rules, I do not have the audacity to think that I'm right about anything, let alone everything. For me, I'm in your camp a little bit, but it's because I think a lot of people do that to funnel people into them, to monetize them. So I think about that a lot. And again, I think it's doing real damage like when I post every morning, every evening, I genuinely post deeply from the lens of, why would someone give a fuck about this post? Why is this good for them? And I do believe a lot of people on the other side of this podcast are not growing because almost every post is about what's in it for me. I want people to buy my course, my book, my collectible, and so I believe that the flashy stuff is inherently selfish, not selfless. And so, but look, people are allowed, people are allowed to share. Like, I get it. Again, a lot of people grew up insecure and wanted these things and they're proud and they want to share it. My big thing is that people that have over-indexed on that move, I have found over the last 20 years, tend to struggle to stay on top, tend to be less happy. So it's not only that the audience that's consuming the Lambo or the watch that I'm worried about, but I'm even worried about the person that's sharing it. I'm worried that they won't be able to sustain it.
It's a great, great move. I want to talk to you a little bit about building big companies. You've built a ton. And so with your current knowledge today, I'm curious, let's say you had to go back to your wine days almost. Let's say you owned a laundromat, because I'm into those things. Yes. So let's say you owned one laundromat and you had to start your entire empire from one laundromat today. What would you do? What would be the playbook?
Content. Yeah, because, you and I are part of a breed that admires a single laundromat owner. And I think you have really done a good job of tapping into something that I think is black and white, which, we talked about the last time we hung, like this whole, whether you call it micro P or just practical business, obviously Main Street is the way you think about it. I think there's a huge opportunity for a lot of those people to build a brand. In fact, that's what I did. I built my brand. I am that person. I didn't even own the business. It was my dad's business. I was the person who built it, but my original content as Gary Vee, after 5 years or during the 5 years of doing the wine show, my original first ever thoughts about business and life and perspectives were literally out of a liquor store, one store, and I built my brand. I could have easily, if that's what I wanted, opened up 10 more stores, did micro M&A, and I would have built a very substantial franchise or independently owned multi-unit business, which would be worth a lot of money, and in today's environment would be a very attractive PE acquisition, as every small business is going to get consolidated, it feels like these days. So I really, the number one thing I would do is get into content for two reasons. One, if you're capable, building your personal brand, I do believe is a moat. I've always believed that it was the moat. I've talked about it for 15 years that it's the moat. It is the one true asset that doesn't get commoditized even in an AI world. You still have your IP, it's your copyright, it's you. Two, if you learn to be a content creator, the other thing that worked with me, and this was hand in hand, and this is what I want for this person, is you start getting good at running ads and doing content for your business too. So in my brain, what I'm dreaming up right now is Sally's building up her. She's like, I did this. This is how I bootstrapped it, or how I inherited it, or whatever's real. Here's what I'm doing. Here's my day-to-day troubles. Here's how I think about it. Oh my God, coins, when people stopped having change on them, we had to put in these, swipe your credit card or just like the battle stories of that business. But also what she will learn in the story that I'm telling is she'll learn what really and by the way, I know a lot of small businesses listen, so let me give it to you very straight. Disproportionately, the biggest opportunity to grow your business, traffic to your business, average receipt size, is to run, if you're a local business that people come to, is to run 10-mile radius Facebook ads. And so Sally, in this journey of building up Sally, the laundromat entrepreneur, would also start to learn how to be good at these things, which she would then be able to use to run ads to her business, which is advertising matters. It's always mattered, and it will always matter. And so content.
You know what's so interesting too? In your story, I remember looking back at those old videos of you in your wine business, and today everybody wants to have a set, right? We're on a borrowed set. This one isn't mine, but they want to have this fancy set. But you know what the sickest set is today? You're actually a laundromat.
I think so.
Because it's show don't tell. It's like, no, I own this. I'm not. There's no fluorescent lights here. Watch me do this. You don't think I own it? Look, I'm right here.
I believe the best studio in the world is the world. I tell my clients, which are mainly Fortune 500 companies, I'm like, look, let's make content at stores, in parking lots, at festivals. I genuinely believe that. I've always believed that. I was honestly the Pied Piper in 2009, 10, 11, 12 of no production value. Wine Library TV didn't even have a mic. No lighting, no mic. Literally whatever the camera picked up. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I think that store as studio is a big idea.
It's a good framework.
Yeah, I think so. Store as studio is something that I've really championed more privately than publicly, so I'm glad we're getting to pontificate about this. And I think that's right.
Yeah, and it means you don't have to have a bunch of money, because I'm all about the great equalizer. Like yesterday, my husband and I were kind of laughing in New York, because New York's such an equalizer city in some ways,
which is like, way.
Yeah, so I could drive like a fancy black car, which sometimes I do, and guess what? If you hoof it, or if you subway it, you're faster than me. And so that's a cool equalizer that doesn't exist in a lot of other places. And so I think this is a good example for content. Like the best performing ads for a lot of our businesses are exactly what you said. It's 100%. Like, it's a window cleaner cleaning a window and then it reveals a price. Like that's it. There's no production. And so
production often, again, is disguising insecurity. A lot of people talk about production. If you listen carefully, it's just an excuse to not do. Anyone who says, I can't afford it, is full of shit. It's called an iPhone. You all have one. The end. Nothing else. Zero. I did it for fucking half a decade. A $239 camera from Best Buy was the only thing I used. Nothing else. Nothing.
Such a good point. Another thing that I really like about you is you kind of said it earlier. You're like, I've taken some punches on the internet. And you had this tweet that I was coming back on, which is, first they'll call you stupid, then they'll call you lucky. Remember, just make sure that you're always executing and they are spending their time calling you things. And I loved that line. How do you deal with haters?
Easily. With compassion, with empathy. I couldn't comprehend living a life where I spend time trying to tear someone down.
Ever? You weren't ever like
Even
that?
I was just about to say, we're starting to get to know each other. I think it's one thing in these settings. I think the thing you would find interesting, and this is going to make sense to you because I'm assuming circles and things you've run in as you've built your career. The thing that blew me away growing up in the game was that A players in private settings would spend a lot of time shitting on other A players. It blew my mind. I remember it was happening to me when Scooter Braun, Maverick Carter, some of these people in business were starting to do really well. And I'd be at these things. I knew both of them well, so it's probably why it triggered for me. When people would be jealous or envious and they themselves, sometimes more successful. I was like, this is weird. This is interesting. Let me take note of this. Oh, insecurity. Oh, wow, they don't realize that the world is I was fascinated. And I understand it because the one place I'm not me is sports fandom. And my level of envy and jealousy of Michael Jordan and Tom Brady and Bulls fans in that era and Patriot fans is like anger, like almost like the most extreme Republican or Democrat feeling about the other side. So I can tap into the emotion that is jealousy and envy. And, because I don't feel in control as a fan. But as a real life human, I feel fully in control. And I couldn't comprehend the idea of deploying jealousy or envy against someone else. So how do I deal with haters? Compassion. I mean, they're just not in a good place. Like, there's no other way to say it. Like, could you comprehend spending your time tearing down? And so many people do it. And you're like, I just couldn't, why would I deploy that energy? If I believe something stinks or someone stinks, my immediate reaction is to just walk away in perpetuity. I want to save my energy and time. I got shit to do. I'm trying to win out here. I remember that tweet. I remember that era when I was thinking about it. I always wanted to be an athlete, but it wasn't in the cards. Being a publicly known businessman with, opinions left, right, up, down, I'm like, oh shit, I got to taste it. Like, everyone, it's like hot takes, and I think about it being an athlete, which is, if you're an athlete, just got done with this great Knicks playoff run, but it ended, unfortunately, just a hair too short. But when you're on the court and they're booing you, if you actually take that in, it's very hard to perform. If you take it in and you get excited, that's how I take it. Like, it's the way I deal with it is 90% indifference and compassion. Like, I'm like, who gives a fuck, man, just wish Ricky Pants 49 lived a life where he didn't have to be mad at me because I know I'm triggering insecurities for him. And 10% of gangster, I'm gonna slice your throat. Like, all right, motherfucker, keep talking. Like, oh, really? Like, you think I've made it now? Let me build Disney in front of your face with V-Friends and you're really gonna fucking be angry at 80. So there's a little bit of that. But only 10%, which is I'm very grateful for. Maybe 20%.
Depends on the day.
I like being competitive. I enjoy being competitive. In fact, one of my great angers in the world is 8th place trophies. One of my great angers in the world is when two passive parents get lucky enough to birth a competitive kid, probably took after grandma, and then they tell that kid, this game that they're crying about doesn't matter. It only matters. Winning and losing is incredibly imperative to the human race. Nothing is good out of balance. Of course, when people are like, Gary, winning and losing, is it okay to hurt people to win? No, it's not okay. But is it okay to completely eliminate merit and competitiveness and winning and losing? No. That leads to, let me say it slow, suicide. This is what people don't understand. When you start to not care about anything, you get into a very dark place. Teaching a young kid nothing matters is a dangerous game. Or sports don't matter, but getting A's matter. You start teaching them fake shit.
Yeah, I think also going back and realizing that nihilism is real. And, some of the greats have talked about the fact that the most horrible thing you can do to an individual is to take away passion in some way, shape, or form.
It's black and white to me.
Yeah.
It's, as someone who's fueled by it, I can, we're animals. I can smell it when someone has it, and I can smell it, only two versions I can smell. I can't smell the middle.
Interesting.
But with passion, I can smell the two opposites. I can smell when someone's got it.
Yeah.
which is why I've associated, invested, and been around a lot of people who went on to become enormous. And I can smell when someone doesn't have it at all, which is why I fucking wake up every morning putting out content to get them out of their darkness.
So we've told them that content matters.
Yes.
We've told them that if you're running a small business, you should think about building up your brand. We've talked a little bit about IP, like all of this talks about content. But one of the biggest questions I get asked by business owners in our portfolio is, how do you find great talent? How do you find the person to help you with social media?
By realizing you need to be the person that first understands it a little bit. How do you judge something you don't know? If I went into a surgery right now, heart surgery, and I needed to judge what's going on, we have a problem. It's called I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Everybody who's listening, when you own a business, it is hard. When you own a business, you have to be adaptable. When you own a business, you have to deal with the shit. I know that you don't like it. You may even have an ideological disagreement with social media. You must be the person that learns it a little bit so that you can judge the talent. It's not about finding the talent. It's that everybody gave the job to their 20-year-old niece because they thought like, oh, you're a kid, you get it. The problem is the 20-year-old niece and nephew use social media to fucking hook up, not to build a big business.
Yep.
So, my answer, and I talk to a lot of these businesses as well, is you have to spend 50 to 100 hours educating yourself and then doing. You can't read about push-ups to get the results. You have to read and watch videos and listen. I even made it easier for you. GaryVee.com/attention. I literally took my last book, which is $20 fucking. I'm like, you can't afford $20? How about this? A 44-page free deck to tell you exactly what to do.
Good. But I recommend the book.
Thank you.
I gave day trading attention to all of my social team.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, again, you said thank you, but I said no, thank you, because it's actually super.
It's why I believe in books. I'm like, I cannot believe I charge hundreds of thousands of dollars to clients for consulting, and this $20 fucking book is like pretty much there.
Yeah, 100. Well, and to be fair, why wouldn't I steal your 27 years doing this?
And more importantly, my actual living the thesis of the book. It's not my only 30 years of working, it's my last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, that was different.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what's so interesting about the books I write. I don't write evergreen books. Day trading attention is just a follow-up to jab, 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 right hook.
Yeah, you're right.
It's just 10 years later because shit changed. All I want to do, I'm incredibly obsessed with the contemporary. I want to be obsessed with the history to understand the contemporary, and then I just want to be of today.
Yeah, there was this great line, actually, when I was coming up with a bio on you that I was reading to Kate that is, I think, perfect for you. And it was about the fact that you are pathologically practical about where eyeballs were moving. Like, that is so true. You're pathological. Like, you are obsessed. And I think that's what it takes to win. I guess I want to close out with two questions here.
Please.
One of them is, you've mastered these underpriced attention platforms at varying times. You talk about it in all of your books. At any given time, there's an underpriced platform. So let's give the people the non-evergreen. What is that today? Where is the underpriced attention today?
Live social shopping. If you sell anything, and this is huge for your crew, if you sell anything, that's not a physical thing, not a service. VaynerMedia doesn't do this. I can't do this with VaynerMedia. We don't sell a physical thing. If you sell a physical thing, which a lot of you do, every one of you has to learn everything you can about TikTok Shop and whatnot. WHAT, Those are the two leaders right now. I expect Meta, Google, Twitter, everybody to get into this game. Live social shopping is the underpriced attention. There are a ton of creators right now who will never get millions of followers and make millions of dollars, but if they switch to being someone that sells something on social, instead of making lifestyle content, they will make millions of dollars.
So smart.
I forced Mike to do a garage sale. Mike did a garage sale on whatnot this Saturday and made $700. Yeah. Now I know you sold some trading cards and stuff like that, but you also, because I heard you were going to do just trading cards. I'm like, no. I need you to sell some random shit in the house. Give me one example of something that was literally sitting collecting dust in your apartment and you sold for how much?
A box of Legos.
Right.
Do we include shipping and handling?
Yeah, you charge I love this. Every time I do garage sales and everything, everyone's like, what about the shipping? I'm like, you charge shipping. What about the eBay fee? I'm like, everything has a cost. People love an excuse, right? People look for the why not.
Yep.
I literally think garage sales and flea markets are going to happen in live social shopping. It's not just someone who starts a beauty brand
or like those storage units. Kate, we're doing your storage unit. She has one here that she's had for 2 years.
Right. She's paying monthly fee.
She's paying $25 a month.
Yep.
We should just do it live on YouTube.
Not YouTube, because they don't have that yet.
Well, so I want to turn it into a YouTube video, but do it live on Whatnot or TikTok
You can make a YouTube video because that's great because that's content. But live, the QVC-ification of social media is here.
Yeah.
Listen to these stats. 30%. This is a stat. I'm always a little weird with stats, but this is real. China is fully here. China's got obviously one of the biggest economies in the world. Live social shopping in China now, by the most conservative estimates, represents 30% of all e-commerce in China.
Get the fuck out.
A $500 billion economy of live shopping in China that is bigger than almost every nation's economy. In the US, I just had the CEO of QVC. He put out this stat that I'm going to try to validate this week, but it feels right-ish. He's like, we're already at 6% on live shopping in the US, and no one's even seeing it yet.
What's that? Do we know what that is compared to what QVC used to be? Because it was like a lot, then nothing, then now growing.
QVC has always been a ton.
Okay.
And it's not a lot. It was still doing an ungodly amount of business. There's something about the behavior. You're almost like paying for the entertainment. You're like tipping the host. You're like part of the community. I have this concept called commerce-tainment. So ready? How about this? You're a hairdresser right now listening, and you sell shampoos and other shit, soaps and all the fucking shit in your place, right? You can go live on Whatnot right now. At the bottom of the screen is like this $12 shampoo, and you could just buy it while you're teaching people how to use the shampoo on a customer. This is real. Tea with Gary Vee, which I really did really well during COVID. I've brought back. I love doing Q&A. On Tea with Gary Vee, I now do it on Whatnot, not on Instagram Live. I do it on all my socials, but I drive to Whatnot. I drink out of a VeeFriends mug, and the mug is pinned at the bottom of the screen. And while I'm doing the show, people are buying the mug.
Get out.
Commerce-tainment. I'm not even selling in that format.
It's just subliminal right there.
Yeah, or I'll make a reference of like, hey, you like my mug? You get like it's a mini commercial. It's not even a commercial.
Interesting.
So
and you just like experimenting. Like that's part of your thing. You just never stop experimenting.
Yes, after it's been validated.
Okay.
I have $1 trillion stuff sells in China. Now we have those functionalities. It's going to happen here. It's happening here. TikTok Shop is insane. You, for your portfolio, must deeply understand TikTok Shop. So live social shopping is one of them.
Okay.
Within social, I'm a big fan for people that are obsessed with TikTok on Snapchat Spotlight. So Snapchat Spotlight is much smaller, but it's their TikTok, right? It's in their UI, and there's a fuckload of 15 to 30-year-olds in it. But here's the good part, supply and demand of attention. Like I talked about in day trading, there's a lot of kids on it. They spend a lot less time on it than they do on TikTok. When I say kids, I say 15 to 30. So if you sell to 15 to 30, but the supply's low. Nobody's posting on there. So I'm very hot on Snapchat Spotlight. Substack, I think is really, really interesting. I'm about to delve in. IRL streaming, so Twitch.
You got to check out Beehive. I'm an investor in it, so
I know
obviously
Beehive.
very biased.
I will absolutely do
but
that.
Those guys, and they're here. I've never met faster builders. We invest in a lot of companies, and shout out Tyler Denk. He's an absolute psychopath. He's like what you talked about.
Speed.
Dude,
it's like
I think
sports.
he's going to eat Snapchat's, Substack's lunch.
I love it.
We'll
Good
see.
for them. Yeah. Look, and it's not even, you know this, you're too smart for this. I don't think Beehive's going to eat Substack's lunch. I think it's an and, not an or.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's it's too big of an addressable market.
Yeah, very
it's
true.
Uber Lyft.
That's true.
Like when I was like, oh, Lyft, because I was an early investor in Uber, I was like, oh fuck, Lyft's going to do well. Yeah. But I wasn't
And
like,
you want multiple to do well.
yeah, I mean, look, like when you're on it, like I don't want the Patriots, Bills, and Dolphins to do well. Like I don't mind competition. I just know it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you have a few, then you grow the market share entirely,
yeah,
which
but,
usually
but both of those companies are going into a trend that's happened.
Yeah.
Like Medium I was an investor in Medium, which was Ed Williams, you know, who's an iconic entrepreneur, co-founder of Twitter, and before that Odeo, and Blogger before that, and one of the first, you know, blogging platforms, like subscription, Patreon, OnlyFans, like, and then the social sites are going to start. You can already see some of the moves they're doing, like, fuck all these other places. We've got all the audience. We're going to monetize. So there's a lot to it, but these are things I'm looking at every day.
Let's end on AI.
AI.
So what are your craziest predictions when it comes to AI?
Well, I've gone pretty viral lately because my craziest prediction is that most people's grandchildren will marry an AI robot.
Fuck my life.
Some of them will. Not everyone's going to, but I think this is the biggest thing we've seen since the internet. It's that big. When the internet came along, my thesis when I was a kid was, oh, this is like I bet my life on it. And the bet was, this is the biggest transformation ever. And like everybody will be on the internet. And when I tell you, when I said that in 95, 6 or 7, people laughed. When people are like, when they talk about AI, I don't think they realize it's oxygen. Like when I get excited about the blockchain, NFTs, Bitcoin, that is a big deal. When I get excited about social media, that was a very big deal. Email, Google search, these are big deals. This is a level above. This is internet and AI. Meaning I view AI as almost boring to talk about because is it fun to talk about the internet as a foundation? Like, no, we talk about the things on top of it. To me, AI is now like omnipresent. It's a reality of life. And there's a real decade of recalibration, reckoning, disruption, opportunity. I'm baffled at anyone who's not spending an hour a day learning about AI and using AI. I couldn't imagine. And I spend a lot of time prompt engineering, you know, just if you don't know what that means, Google it or AI it. And that's what's so funny. Like even Googling it, I noticed I said to somebody the other day, I'm like, AI it. Like go Gemini it, go Perplexity, go Gronk it, go OpenAI, you know, ChatGPT it. Like, it's huge. And it's like the wildest predictions are the Internet of Things, it thinking for you, it ordering, like I think all of shopping will be done by agents for you based on your behaviors. Like it will know better that you wanted that outfit than you knew.
Facebook already knows me better than my husband with my shopping
That,
preferences.
I mean, most things know things better than husbands know. But we're a bunch of idiots. I think that it is very clear to me that we are going into a transformative half century where AI will be like the piping of this reality. Piping, railroads, infrastructure, oxygen, whatever you want to call it. This is the biggest thing that's happened in a long time.
Let's give people a couple things to do on that. Somebody's listening, they're like, all right, fuck it. Gary told me to do AI. What does do AI daily in order to get better at it look like?
Inside of Twitter X, using Gronk, Perplexity, or Google Gemini, or probably the one that ChatGPT is so strong and so easy and common for people. Download it and use it every day. Like, and then use it to, here's how I use AI. Hey, AI, like, hey, this is what I do actually almost every week. What are the 5 AI apps that popped in the last week that I should pay attention to? AI is answering that question for me so that I can go look at those apps and understand what's happening. Also, real quick, because I know a lot of smart investors listening here, be very careful in investing in AI. The reason I haven't yet is every week you think you just invested in the best X, and a week later somebody crushes that. The speed, you want to talk about speed? The speed in which like these apps are getting updated and better is profound.
It is the first time that I am annoyingly an evangelist for tech that is not something I've invested in or own. Like I won't shut up about. I'm like whisper flow. Fuck the keyboard. The keyboard's gone. You just
gone.
Yeah, you just voice text and it's perfect from now on. I mean that's wild.
What about What about the fact that nobody has to learn a language anymore? Everyone's going to have ear pods that, like, you're going to talk to somebody, they're going to be speaking Spanish, and you'll hear it as English, and you're going to speak English, and they'll hear it as Spanish and Portuguese and Korean. Like, there's profound things coming. But the wildest one is we're going to fall in love with these, AIs, and then we're going to put that in love AI into robot bodies, and those robot bodies are going to go from looking like RoboCop to looking like, Megan Fox.
Sydney Sweeney.
And that Megan Fox movie is a preview. Yeah.
Does that make you sad?
No, it doesn't.
Happy?
No. It makes me understand that this is how it's always been. Like cavemen were different than you and I were. Supposedly we were apes, right? So like, does it make our apes mad that we like shit changes? Like I'm not like, people are always like, Gary, that's gross, or like, you need Jesus, or I'm like, look, I'm not advocating for it.
Yeah, you're just predicting.
Like, in fact, I'm like advocating for simplicity. I think I'm sad for people that wear gold chains and fucking like take pictures in private planes. So like, I love when people are like, this is sad. I'm like, you're sad. Like this is what's brewing. This is what could happen. You're asking for a prediction. I'm guessing, but it fucking feels like it's coming.
I think you're right. I do think it's a little sad, but that is every generation.
But by the way, I go back to this. We're in charge. Like, if you think it's sad as a human one day, like, you can parent and grandparent your kid into like understanding the value of a human versus a robot. Right? The problem is that we have to get more comfortable with being uncomfortable. The reason the robots are trending, in my opinion, long term, is we want everything perfect.
It's exactly why.
Yeah. But by the way, are we robots? Like, let me explain. Ozempic, vanity, hair extensions, boob jobs, fucking testosterone, HGH, makeup, like people can argue we're sad. We become very, very, very visual. Like 40, 50-year-old men and women, like you and I, 2 generations ago, do not look like the way we look. And those people can say we're sad. Why do we have to alter ourselves? What's plastic surgery? What's Botox?
Gary's going to be like this in 10 years, maybe?
I'm probably not, but I don't judge people that are. I just judge when they say something sad when they're doing the sad thing. I remember in the 80s when I was a kid, but I remember when everybody frowned on someone who had a boob job.
And now they're everywhere.
You know what I mean?
It's true.
And so like, I don't know, is lip filler like sad to a woman from 1949? It sure is. They think you're fucking sad.
Zoom out, huh?
So just because you think a robot's sad, like it's just gonna keep doing shit. And I get what people are gonna say in the comments, like, yeah, but that's still a human being. I'm like, okay, like, I don't know, like, okay.
Well, I hired an AI specialist who's so amazing. You walk into my office. The first time I meet the guy in person, because we were interviewing him on a project basis. Anyway, he's sitting in the front area of my office. He's got a hoodie on. He's got those, what are those things called?
VR glasses.
VR glasses. And he's just fucking maestroing in front. And I, taking a little video because it's funny. His name's Chadwick. He's brilliant. And his entire job is to see where AI can play in our companies. But I started talking to him about this idea, and he pushed me really hard on are humans robots? He goes, should they be able to vote? Immediate reaction, fuck no, they shouldn't be able to vote. He goes, okay, what about a human with a fake leg? What about a human with 2 robotic legs? What about a human with a neuro transplant in their head? Where does it become a human instead of a robot? And I was like, poof.
Yeah, and by the way, it might not even be right. Like, meaning like it could be the end of the human race. And I'm like, okay. Like, do you think I want that? But my intuition is that my grandkids will be gone by the time that happens. And like, you don't get to control the future. Like, what is this This is where the whole politics thing has gotten me crazy. Like, we've gotten to this era where people have the audacity to think the world should be how they see it. I have passionate points of view. We just spent fucking an hour on it. I don't think I'm right, and I don't think it should be the way I see it. Like, and most of all, you can't stop it. Right. Technology is undefeated. By the way, as I sign off, electricity demonized when it came out. Actually, the word demonized. When electricity was invented, people did not put it in their home and still chose lanterns and candles because the word on the street was electricity had demons in it. We're scared of new shit.
Gary V, you're the man. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
You guys, this was wild. I was just looking, and it looks like more than 50% of you are not subscribed to the Big Deal podcast. When you subscribe, first of all, it means we get to bring you bigger and better guests. It's also the #1 way you can support this podcast. If you liked it today, subscribe on whatever channel that you're listening to. And I want to tell you something firsthand. You become whatever you allow into your attention span. And what I hope you feel from us every single day is that I value your attention and your time more than anything else. I promise to only bring you things that are going to make you more money. They're going to make you more motivated to make your life better. So give me a little solid here. Subscribe to the channel. This is how we grow. Also, leave me a review on what you want better and who you want on. I promise you will do it. Hey, if you're a business owner right now and you like the things you were hearing on this podcast, I have something that I haven't talked about publicly before that's just for you. It's called our SMB Boardroom. This is for small business owners who want to grow. It is for business owners who are on their way to making at least 7 figures a year. If this is you, hit the link down below, talk to our team. This is the place that can be your late night emergency call for the things that go bump in the night in your business. If right now you feel like you're plateauing or you feel like you don't know how to handle your growth, we got you. So click the link below, SMB Boardroom. We just built it for you builders. Kind of obsessed with it. And I think if you are a builder, there's no place you're going to want to be except here. Hey guys, if you've ever thought about buying a business, we've built what I think is the best acquisitions and business buying community and education curriculum in the world. If you've ever thought about wanting to buy or own a business, or if you want to add more businesses to the mix, it's called the Contrarian Community. And what this is the goal is we give you the 3 things that the best business buyers use: your own advisory team, your own investment committee, and a deal team. We get together each week to review deals live and beat up all the deals that you're currently looking at while you simultaneously learn the best way possible, which is called modeling, by seeing other people put together deals. This is how private equity buys businesses. This is how investment teams work. And we're stealing the methods from Wall Street and giving them to you. If this is interesting to you, go to click the link and you can actually talk to my team direct about if this is a fit or not. We can help guide you. The link is in the show description.
There is no more one try. I will persist until I succeed. I will crawl across glass. I will break through steel. I will climb a mountain, whatever it takes. It's not, I guess I'll give it 1 or 2 more tries. It's you just try until you burn the boats. There's no B plan.
Today, you are going to hear from a man who I think will teach you more in an hour and a half than a 4-year business degree. He has partnered with Tony Robbins. He's partnered with Matthew McConaughey. Dean Graziosi is his name.
Somebody has already done what you're hoping to do. Stop trying to figure out how and start thinking who. Who has already made $1 million in this space and I haven't? Who has already bought multiple companies? Who has already doubled the size of their marketing or doubled the size of their business? And then do everything in your power to understand what they've done. If they offer coaching, get it. If you can be a mentor for free, get it. If you can build reciprocity by doing something for them first, do it.
You've said before that one of the biggest business hacks is that true?
Being in business it's not easy. It's not for the faint at heart to buy a business, to start a business, to scale a business. Every level is a new devil. All that shit happens. And if you have a partner that says, yeah, who are you to do it? Even a little bit, you're scared to death compared to someone go,
Hi, I'm Codie Sanchez, and this is the Big Deal podcast for those who are willing to do the work to get what you want. Today, we are actually going to do the work for you. You are going to hear from a man who I think will teach you more in an hour and a half than a 4-year business degree, and you can also save the $200,000. He's the guy I call when things are going wrong in my business or when I want things to go really, really right. He has built businesses to hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. He has partnered with Tony Robbins, he's partnered with Matthew McConaughey, and he's sort of what I often think of as the man behind the scenes when it comes to a lot of the biggest names you know building really big businesses. Dean Graziosi is his name. We're going to talk about building businesses. We're going to talk about making money. We're going to talk about what to do when people you love even tell you that something's not possible for you. We're going to talk about how do you have a marriage that you actually like, or maybe an incredible marriage. And we're also going to talk about what does it take to win in all aspects of your life, but certainly if you care about business at all. Without further ado, let's go to Dean. You've said before that one of the biggest business hacks is a happy marriage. Is that true?
I think it's a hack on everything. And I can only go through 2 experiences. One, I've been in a marriage that failed. Mm-hmm. And I take full responsibility for probably being the majority of the reason it didn't work. Mm-hmm. And when you're in something like that, when you're in a relationship that's not empowering, not fulfilling, right? And again, not blaming the other person, but it's not right. You don't even realize how much of a drain that is, that when you wake up and it's on your mind, you wake up and you realize maybe there's not intimacy or maybe there's not connection in your life. But it doesn't matter. I could power through with business. I'm so strong with business. I just got this, right? But I'm blessed to see, I can only talk through experiences. I'm really fortunate to see the other side of that. You know, when my relationship ended and there was a gap, I had 2 children, and I'm like, and I won't go too deep into this, but the fact of the matter is, I just said, I'm going to be a single dad. I'm going deep on dadding, on fatherhood. And when they're off to college, I'll consider a relationship. But I remember I was with my partner and friend, Tony, and he's like, but if you were going to get in a relationship, what if you just wrote down all the things that would be an absolute must in a relationship and all the things that were unacceptable in a relationship? So I remember writing all that down. And when I got done, something pretty profound hit me. I realized, wow, you're pretty full of yourself. You want all of this. But to get that, you better be the man that attracts and keeps that. And don't just be the facade that gets it. It's like, don't get the deal in the door and then be horrible with customer service. Like, if this is who I'm going to be to attract that woman, I better become that man. Yeah. And it was probably the biggest shift in my life. Like, I wanted to be the man that attracted that. So long story short, I'm blessed. You know my wife, Lisa. I don't have an Instagram marriage. I'm in love. I have the love of my life. We're 8 years in. She's my best friend. It's everything that was on that sheet. But I'm trying to stay the guy that deserves that, right? But once I had that kind of marriage where I could call, and it takes somebody special to be married to a crazy ass entrepreneur. I met your husband on the way in. I want to just, totally. I want to go. I'm be like, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. Like, come here. Let me just give you a little pat on the back. I want to do the same thing to Lisa. She's the sweetest. I just want to like give him a hug. Go, I get it, right? But like the difference of feeling empowered, like as you know, it might be date night and we're supposed to go to a dance recital on date night. I'm just being overly, just for story reasons. But I know I've called my wife and said, babe, I am so sorry. I'm in the middle of closing this deal. I can't make dinner. I'm not going to make the dance. In prior relationships, it might be like, oh my gosh, you always put work first. How could that be? My wife now, and maybe because I give her what she needs, she would say, babe, we live this lifestyle because of you. You go kick ass in that meeting. I'll make sure the kids feel good and we'll do dinner tomorrow. I have goosebumps sharing it because that relationship my business has doubled since I met her.
You guys, I know if you're listening to this podcast that you care about growth and you are going to be one of the few builders in this world and we need you more than ever. So one, I'm just thrilled you're here. And if you think that this podcast episode is valuable for you, imagine what it can do for others in your life. So often we share the funny, really ridiculous, useless things on the internet. Do yourself and maybe somebody you love a big favor and pass this episode along to them. Share it with them, letting them know that you care and that you want them to be successful too. Builders are rare. We need more of them. This is your chance to share the show.
My relationship with my kids has gotten better. I'm better. I'm just a better human being. And the only reason I'm sharing that is because I know both sides. So if you're I know this isn't a relationship podcast, but if you're in a relationship where you don't have the support, do whatever it takes to get the support. Let them see you. Let them be vulnerable with your feelings. Because I'm telling you, that little bit of extra support, because being in business it's not easy. It's not for the faint at heart to buy a business, to start a business, to scale a business. Every level is a new devil. Every time there's something, you question yourself, like, who am I to do this? Who am I to get these eyeballs? Who am I to own this business? All that shit happens. And if you have a partner that says, yeah, who are you to do it? Even a little bit, you're scared to death compared to someone go, Cody, you freaking got this. You're a badass. If you don't see it in you, I see it in you. So my business has grown. Who I am as a man has grown. So if you're in it, try to fix it. If you're single and you're looking, make sure it's somebody who can, you fuel their dreams. So hopefully they fuel yours.
It's so true. I mean, I think the best business deal I've ever done is the deal with my partner. I mean, and I say that frequently, that was the best contract I ever wrote. And the reason is because I actually have found, and I find it again and again with entrepreneurs, that when you don't have it, you don't think that an incredible
You don't
marriage
even
is
know what
super
you're
important.
missing.
Yeah. You're like, it's fine. But then when you do have it, you're like, dear Lord. And it's not to make people feel bad if you don't have it, because I've been in a terrible one that I take a lot
I'm
of
raising my
blame
hand.
for
If you're not
too.
seeing me, hands up high.
But man, if you can prioritize what you got, it's really important. So one other question on marriage before we go into more business stuff is, what is the secret then to having an incredible marriage?
When people ask me that, I think what comes to mind, and I don't know if this is the best secret, I'm just going to give it, is you can't keep score. Keeping score ruins relationships. It ruins partnerships too, right? Like if I was looking at a partnership, I've watched so many times through the years. Why is everybody so attracted to opening up a restaurant? I never knew that. You hardly find a restaurant that makes money, but everybody wants one. Maybe it's the significance or I don't know. But I've watched forever. Picture a great chef, right? I'm 56, so I've been on this earth for a while. I've been to restaurants and I've watched the chef in the background where the food is amazing. And somebody convinces them, hey, why would you just be a chef? Let's start the new restaurant. I'll put up the money. I've had friends do this. They put up the money, they get a great chef, they come up with a great concept, and they launch the business. At first, the marriage is amazing. The business marriage is great cook, didn't have the money, know how to run a business. But then all of a sudden, the chef's back there 70 hours a week, not seeing his family. And the partner who put the money in hasn't changed. Same person. He comes in with his friends, round of drinks for everybody. And the scorekeeping starts. I'm back here slaving over this hot stove. I'm trying to make incredible. He's out there drinking, pretending to be the big shot. It's my food. And then the person with the money said, you would have never done this if I didn't give you the money and show you how to start a business. And the end is inevitable. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing I believe in marriage. You come home after a long day working, and if it's your significant other, and say you come home, it's like, man, I worked my butt off all day. And I came home, and there's not even dinner on the table, right? I'm just using this as a dramatic experience. And then you think to yourself, wow, that's so disrespectful. So that night you go to bed, and instead of laying cuddle next to each other, you're keeping score, you lay on the opposite side of the bed. And your significant other goes, well, what the hell? Why is he so cold? Or why is she so cold? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the scorekeeping, well, he's not there when I need this, and he doesn't there when I need this. And all of a sudden, intimacy dies first because you don't feel like being affectionate with someone that you're keeping score with. And then resentment comes in. And once the resentment there, it's done, right? And I got to tell you that there's this little hack. What if, and this takes a while, this is hard, and if you're the wrong person who just abuses it, then that's a whole different story. But what if you felt love when you gave it? And that's the only payback you had. When you look at Chris and you know he's there for you, he does whatever it takes. And there's something you know makes him happy. Maybe it's breakfast before he asks. And he gets up and there is breakfast made, his favorite meal, and just sitting there and he eats it. What if just seeing his smile was enough to make the score even? Without him saying, oh, Cody, you're so amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Can I do something for you? And it creates this, I'll be honest with you, my partnership with Tony, my relationship with my wife, I can't do enough for her and she can't do enough for me. And we fight to outdo each other. It's crazy. But I built that partnership with Tony as well. We're partners on multiple companies. We co-founded Mastermind together and all these other companies. We can't do enough for each other. Like if he's going through something, has to have a little surgery on his eye or something, I'm like, what can I do? Take everything off his plate for 3 weeks. And I'll call his assistant, all the crap comes to me. 100% of it comes to me, and don't tell him. And then he finds out, he's like, oh, and then he'll do so instead of keeping score, the first phase is don't keep score. The second phase is how do I do more for you than you do for me? And it builds this thing that, the other thing too, Cody, it took me, I'm 56, like I said, it took me decades to figure this out. So it's not something that comes naturally.
You guys just heard us talk about acquisitions. If you guys have ever thought about buying a business, I don't know if you know this, but we have what I think is the best education system in the world for doing acquisitions, for buying businesses, and now for scaling businesses. If you've thought about wanting to buy your next business, or right now you have a business and you want to scale it, my goal is we at Contrarian Thinking have everything you need to do that. And so if that's you, I guess I'm talking to you today. You can go to contrarianthinking.co, click on our education, and right there, you're going to see ideas for how you can buy your first or next business and how you can also scale your next business. We have taught more than 5,000 people how to do M&A, mergers and acquisitions, to date. People have bought hundreds of millions in businesses so far. And my goal is that you become an owner if you aren't already one. So I hope you join us on the journey, contrarianthinking.co. Check out the education section. It's so good though. I've actually never thought about it that way because, man, it would be pretty easy. I mean, you are huge on the internet. You have millions of people that follow you. You've helped millions of people over the years. And Tony is also huge on the internet, maybe one of the most famous business people in the world.
Hands down, right.
And it would be very easy for somebody like that to continue to say to a partner, I don't need you anymore. And that's probably what happens a lot is like, that starts, the one side could feel a different way. And I think that's a really cool way to
if you just take it out of your mind. I mean, think about this. There are times when we do, like we're doing a big event, right? And the 60 days before event is insanity, right? You're putting 1.3 people in an event. There's a gazillion moving parts. And I'm the architect and I'm in that, like I'm in the thick of it. But Tony's 47 years of being a business leader, he could make one phone call and solve millions of dollars worth of problems or make millions of dollars. So when I'm in it, I don't go, wow, I'm putting 70 hours a week in. Damn it, he's not. I'm like, man, this combined talent just brings so much value to the world. And because he worked so hard for 50 years, he could make one call and so I just find a way to appreciate everything. And then on the opposite side, he does the same. Yeah, so if you can find that in your marriage or your business relationships, or if you're buying a business and the person that's still going to stay on, find a way to appreciate what they do. Try to outdo it. And here's the thing, what trips it up, different personalities. You might be a conservative and you buy a business where the person's a liberal. You might be religious and Christian and they're an atheist. Find a way to appreciate something about them. Do more from them than they realize. But then there's a point. You might do more for people for a certain point and realize no matter what I do, it's not enough. And maybe that's the trigger of time to pull the exit chute.
How do you know when to pull the exit chute? How do you know when somebody is taking advantage of you and you are giving too much?
I think, in the beginning of a business relationship or you're first dating Chris, right? Everything is wonderful. Right or wrong. There's not enough. You can't do enough for that person. Well, like if they have a seed in their tooth, like, oh, it's so cute. And then if it doesn't, like if you're not feeling that way in a year, it's like, why do you always have freaking seeds in your tooth, right? It's like same thing, different experience. What I always thought about is, what if you're in a relationship, you're not sure, like, should this be over, business or personal? And you just treated the next 90 days like the first 90 days. You were a little more respectful. You actually did active listening, looking in your significant other's eyes. What did you have to say? What was your day like? What if you did all the things, like when you were thinking about, the first time you were going to hold hands or kiss, you're like, I'll listen for 4 hours if I get the kiss. Like, then you're like, what are you saying, babe? Could you just spit it out? Like, all these things evolve, right?
I never do that. Yeah.
Yeah, me neither. I've never done it once. I just asked what time it was. I don't need to know how the watch is built, right? Like, yes. But what if you did that for 90 days? And at the end of the 90 days, if you didn't get anything back, if it didn't spark any reciprocal actions like that, I think it's time to take a look deeply at that relationship.
I love that. You're really big on, if you have an action you want to take, you need a deadline. And I've heard you say that many, many times.
Absolutely.
What does that look like in practice? So I have something that I want to do. I put it on my calendar and I say, by this date, I will have achieved X, Y, Z. How do you instigate that in your life?
Love that. It's something I'm big on this year, because this year our business is growing. I love watching the business growth that you're having right now. But it's beyond well-deserved, and people need you now more than ever. So I love watching all that you're doing for the world, and I mean that. And I feel pretty cool. I've built multiple $100 million a year businesses. I've exited from business. I'm working harder than ever before because I love it. I want to fall dead doing this at 97. You know what I mean?
You actually
like,
do, because I know you as a human.
I
and
love
call
it.
you all the time.
And every year I'm trying to evolve as a leader, because what I realize, and I know you're realizing it now, to go to that next level of business, like whatever got you here, there's a core competency. There's something or several things you do better than anybody on the planet. And what I realized, I was really good at creating incredible products. I was really good at marketing, operations, finances, those things. I just duct taped those together and band-aided them forever. I was so good at selling that the money covered the problems. But when I wanted to build a real business, I realized the skill I had to learn was leadership. And leadership is not project management. I've promoted so many great project managers to leaders, and I love them as project managers and wanted to shoot them when they became leaders. Because a leader is more of like a kindergarten teacher. You have to understand different personalities. This one thinks through their ego. This one needs a pat on the back. This one I have to go to lunch with once a month. This one I got to listen to their story. This one I just need to give love. This one I just need to leave alone and they do their thing. Stop trying to be. Like, a leader figures out the human condition. And it took me a long time to really understand that, right? And a good CEO has different relationships with each person. So long story short, I tried Mastermind, the company that Tony and I own. It's growing, and I love this company. And every year I say, how can I be a better leader? So a long answer to your short question, how do I set a deadline? I didn't forget. Is this year I've gone to each department and I'd say, what are your goals? What's your goals? And when I have a department give me 10 or 12 goals, I realize if you have 10 or 12 goals, none of them are important. When I say which is the most important, and they say they're all important. If they're all important, none of them are important. I said, if you had to narrow it down to 1, 2, or 3, what would they be? Oh, that's really hard. But if you had to, and I just give the framework, what is going to move the needle in your department? There's lots of things that are nice to have. What is the need to have that if you accomplish this, you should get a raise, you should get a promotion, the company moves forward? What are they? So I had all the departments, hundreds of employees, narrow it down to the most important things. And then I said, and I draw it as a pyramid. So picture the top is goal, right? The next one down is, okay, so what are the constraints holding you back from achieving that? Like, what is it? Well, I'm like, no. If we had to know, well, I don't have some. Okay, great. The constraint is you need a right person in that place. Could it be a system you're missing, or do you actually need a person? A lot of times it's like, oh, if I had a better system, I wouldn't need the person. So what is the constraints? How do you solve them, or how do you widen the circle to let me and others help you solve it? And then the third thing, there's only 4 steps. The third step is, how are you going to measure your progress? Right? How do you know you're actually moving forward, winning the game? And then the fourth answers the question you asked. The fourth is the deadlines. When are you going to have it done by? Well, I think by January. January what? Mid-January. January what? January 9th. Done. I'm here to help you get that done. So we went from 15 tasks. Picture if each thing has 3 constraints. You have 10 goals. Each thing has 3 constraints. You have 30 constraints.
No.
That's why people, and you know what ends up happening? Is you go, oh, that one's got a lot. I'll just go with this other thing because I have so many things going on. I'll work on the easier one. You don't even know your brain does that. But when you narrow it down and go, crap, we have to, we want to do back-end sales so people can enjoy this amazing coaching program we put together, right? Okay, what is the goal? The goal is to do $1 million a month helping people be a part of a program that actually transforms their life. Great. What are the constraints? We don't have the salespeople to do it. Great. Then your whole focus over the next 90 days should be getting the salespeople. What are the constraints? I don't know if I can find them. Do we do them in person? Do we do them in virtual? Great. That's the things we have to solve. How do you know if you're winning? I need to hire 2 a week. Great. What's the deadline? 3 months from now. Great. All of a sudden, that person has those 4 things, and that's all they should focus on.
That's so good. I have like a to-do list in my mind right now of all the things I have to do listening to you, which is what happens every time we talk, by the way. Let's talk about, let's imagine that there's somebody out there right now, and they're listening and they haven't made their first $1 million. They maybe even haven't made their first $100,000. I know it's so hard to overly simplify this, but what was the biggest unlock for you to make your first $1 million? Because you have made, you know, I'm not the IRS, but you've made millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. But that very first million, I think, is the hardest. So what would you say to somebody who hasn't made their first million yet? What do you have to unlock?
Oh, wow. So many, it's such a great question. There's so many things that I think about. But if you really boil it down, and I want to give business tactics. Let me do that on the second half. But the first one, have you, with all the people, you get amazing people to sit in this chair. You've met such incredible people. You just surround yourself with great people. If you look at the common denominator of successful people, is they have just a little bit more hunger than anybody else. right? I mean, you think about it. Why do most people who hit lotto go broke? Because they have resources, but they don't have resourcefulness. So if I think about it, like I'm going to give you a tactical answer. I can tell you about marketing. I tell you all about those things. And that's I want to talk about all that today. But foundationally, maybe because I've been in this industry so long and I've built multiple companies, is if you don't have a hunger that's super strong, when you hit obstacles, when things go wrong, you go, oh, I can't believe that happened. All right, let me give it one more try. Compared to, there is no more one try. I will persist until I succeed. I will crawl across glass. I will break through steel. I will climb a mountain, whatever it takes. It's not, I guess I'll give it one or two more tries. It's you just try until you find the answer. And the most successful people you know, even in your own life, as you're listening or watching right now, you know that they didn't set like 3 failures and then I go back to the job I hate. It's like you burn the boats. There's no B plan. And that is something that's why Tony and I work so hard on helping people have an unstoppable mindset. And then we give them a business plan. Yeah. Because you can give the greatest business plan to somebody who's not committed, or you can give a crappy business plan on a yellow pad to someone who's committed and hungry, and I'll take them 100% of the time. So the first thing is hunger, and that hunger leads to resourcefulness, and that resourcefulness leads to persisting till you succeed. That's number one. Number two is, I wish someone would have told me this earlier in life, and I know you have found it way earlier than I did. But you have to model proven practices. Like that is just, I mean, I know it sounds simple in your life. Maybe I'm just a reminder service for everybody listening or watching today. But somebody has already done what you're hoping to do. Stop trying to figure out how and start thinking who. Who has already made $1 million in this space and I haven't? Who has already bought multiple companies? Who has already doubled the size of their marketing or doubled the size of their business? Who has broken through from one shop to 50 of them across the country? Who has already done it? And then do everything in your power to understand what they've done. If they offer coaching, get it. If you can be a mentor for free, get it. If you can build reciprocity by doing something for them first, do it, because they have the plan. And most people don't even know that they have the plan, but you can extract it. So hunger and modeling proven practices.
It's so good. Yeah, we always say, first you imitate, then you iterate, then you innovate.
Oh, I
not the
love
other
it.
way around.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's so good. Oh, that was the clincher. Is not the other way around.
Right, because everybody was like, well, we'll go ahead and try this thing. And it's like, why? Well, my gut says so. What's your gut based on? Do you have a history of proven success in this? Have you modeled proven practices? We're not curing cancer here, unfortunately. Like, we are doing things that other people have already done before. So I think it's so big. And it kind of takes me to this random next idea from you, which is you have helped millions of people create a ton of wealth in their life. That mindset part I didn't used to understand. I used to think tactics, just because that's how my brain works. I'm like, just give me steps 1 through 7. And I didn't realize that most humans will fail miserably if you just give them the how-to instead of the why-to, which I learned from you guys. You've also partnered with some huge names to break through in a way that isn't normal for most people. Can you tell me about the time that you partnered with Matthew McConaughey on your big, huge event? What happened? And how did you talk one of like the world's biggest celebrities into sharing how he lives his life?
Yeah, great question. That was so much fun, by the way.
It looked so much fun. I was texting you like, is he as cool
Yeah.
as he's?
No,
Don't tell me if he's not.
Yeah,
I don't want to
and
know.
I remember texting you back like, he's actually cool.
Oh,
like, he's just the coolest dude. Like, I'll put it this way. His work ethic is off the charts. And I'll tell you, I'll answer the question, but his work ethic's off the chart. And I'll start from the beginning. The beginning is I listened to Green Lights. Did you listen to the book?
The book's incredible.
I got done
And I
with the
don't
book.
like celebrity memoirs.
No.
Do not care.
So a couple of things. Why I respected it, first off. He didn't come at it as like a memoir of a star.
Yeah.
What he said was, I've been journaling for 30 years. I found all the journals. And I geeked out for 6 months. And he went through all his old journals. He said some of it was painful. But he found the patterns that led to success and the patterns that led to failure. And I'm like, how could you not listen to every single word of 30 years of success and failure, right? So then he tells this amazing story in the book, and he's got the voice, like, he's just got, like, it's just like, and I remember I get to the end of the book, I'm like, oh, I want more. Like, did you feel that way at the end of the book?
100%, of course.
So I had a mutual friend someone that knew Matthew and knew me. I'm like, can you do me a favor? I'm going to record a 7-minute voice memo. Can you just ask McConaughey to listen to it? And I left him a message. And fortunately, he had already watched my stuff. He loved Tony's stuff. So that gives you a little benefit. But I just said to him, I know this sounds completely crazy, but this book was so good when it was done. I wanted more. And I think the world needs more McConaughey. And this is what I said to him. I said, books are very inspirational, but courses can be very transformational because it's video. You give homework, you give assignments, you give challenges. Like, go do this right now. Stop playing this video. Go do the work. And I explained the difference of inspiration versus transformation. I said, I think you owe it to the world to create something next level that it actually turns it into not just an inspirational book, a program. And he got back. He goes, all right, let's do it. And the man went all in. Like, we talked about it, decided the deal. We said just to be partners on it. He brings Matthew McConaughey. I bring the experience. So Tony and I in our world. And they said, imagine the collision of your people and our people together, right? So what I love about the guy, he flew down, spent a week at my office. We stayed up till midnight every night, and he obsessed over every sentence, every word on, is this the way to transform? Is this the way to change people? And we called it Road Trip, the highway to more. So everything was like, how do you have more joy? How do you have more cool? How do you have more time, right? So everything was through this lens of more. But I got to tell you, it was fun. We're sitting around a table. And he can't help it, right? So he says, I said, oh, that story, you remember the story when he goes to Africa and fights the guy, and it's an amazing story.
Incredible.
So here's what's cool. This is what I get for an entire week, which is fun, is he can't help himself but to stand up and tell the story in Matthew McConaughey style. He goes, and then I'm sitting there like this, and I'm like, am I really going to fight this guy? And I look around at my team, because we're all captioning this. I look at my team, they're all like, the girls are like, will you take your shirt off? Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just the coolest guy in the world. And anyway, so long story short, we do this, and we have 2.5 million people. So we did a live event, and at the live event, we offered his course. Not only did we have 2.5 million people watch on day one, he probably is the best-selling course in history in one day. Tens of thousands of courses sold that day. People fell in love with it. But I'm going to end it with this. Talk about the guy being cool. He gets off. We get done. He's like, I said, what'd you think of that? He goes, one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And I said, why? He said, well, usually I read someone else's script. I'm directed by somebody else, and someone else edits it. He goes, I got to play me today. He goes, that's cool. He goes, you know what would be even cooler? Let's do a couple shots of tequila to celebrate. I'm like, you are the coolest man alive. I haven't done a shot of tequila in a decade. I'm back there. We have it on video. I did a couple shots with him. He's like, should we do 3 or does 3 make you fuzzy? I'm like, 3 makes me fuzzy. He goes, no, 2's good. Anyway, that's
incredible.
Yeah, and
thank God he's cool, because it would be such a
what
bummer.
A disappointment it would be if he was like,
that would
yeah,
just, that's not okay.
Hard worker, amazing husband. All he does. Camilla she was with him every single day to midnight. I mean, he came 7 days, and then when we did the launch, the actual event, she came for 4 days. She was there every night, a part of every experience, giving incredible feedback. He loves her to death. He's an incredible dad. So he's someone you keep forever.
I love that.
Someone you keep.
You know, it made me think about the opposite of that, which is, I think when you're trying to have big success, we all have people, friends, sometimes family, loved ones, who say you can't, why would you do that? Who don't want you to go grow when you are about to have what you think might be a huge breakthrough. So what do you do to not let other people hold you back from the things you want in life?
So I give little reference points, like little things in my head that I can remember. And this one is, don't dim your glow. Without realizing sometimes we have people in our life that think we're a dreamer, which most people do. Entrepreneurship is a lonely road. Being a dad of 4, there's nothing worse than going to a 5-year-old birthday party where you don't know one other parent. You don't know, and you got to have conversations with people that, this is going to sound horrible. Like, maybe this is rude to say, but it's a different path to be career-oriented than to be the crazy person that puts your life on the line, put your money on the line, put your family on the line. You risk everything. You go up and down, all the stuff that happens in the invisible. It's just a different philosophy, right? Oh my God. What was your question?
What do you do to have other people not stop you from achieving your dreams? Those I think about it for instance, I remember when I was first starting out in my business, I had a family member that basically said, I was in finance at the time. I was working at, I think I was at Goldman, and my family member looked me right in the face and said, biggest mistake of your life will ever be trading the names Goldman Sachs for Codie Sanchez.
Oh, oh my gosh.
And they love me.
No,
Like,
I
they're
get
n-
it.
you
So,
know?
so the way I look at it when I was saying even being is most people can't see what you see. So, you know Trent Shelton, right? Love Trent. And he said one day he was on our stage. I invited him to speak during the McConaughey event, right? So he is just doing what Trent does best. And he said the exact thing. He said, no one saw my dreams. Well, he was an NFL player. Now he's going to be an influencer. And he said his first year, his mom would when he'd do a video, his mom would say, "You're doing such a good job, baby." It would be the only comment, you know? And people were reaching out. And he said he had this dream. And he said one day he realized, and whatever your beliefs are, he realized God gave him this prescription, like a pair of glasses. And he said, when I put my dreams on, my glasses, I see crystal clear the man I'm becoming. He said, but my wife and my sisters, my people in my life, if I give them my glasses, it's blurry. So how can I expect them to see the vision that I have? He said, God gave me this prescription, this dream, this goal on my heart. And when he said that, it's like, wow, like the only thing I could say is, it is the biggest question I've gotten in 40 years is how do I get my wife on board? How do I get my husband on board? How do I get my family on board? They think I'm crazy. And what I'd say is you can't let someone who's not achieving and hasn't done what you want to do give you advice. It's like your broke friend telling you how to get rich, your single friend telling you about relationships. And you got to remember, this is downloaded in your heart, your soul. And you got to find a way to just not dim your glow to match the people around you. Because I truly believe the biggest regret we could ever have is getting to the end of our lives and realize we missed it. I mean, life's going fast and we only got one shot at this. I don't want to get to the end and go, I played small because my husband didn't believe in entrepreneurship, or I played small because my parents thought college and this career was better. I think it'd be the biggest regret of your life. I think you would ask God or the universe or whatever you believe in, like, can I go back and do it again? So what I do to get my, like to push me, not only thinking don't dim your glow, I also think about, I have that opportunity now. Like if I got to the end of my life and said, can I go back and do it over? It's almost like wish granted. Like you're back there right now. Today's your day. Today's your day to go, I don't care what they think. I love them. I respect them. I'm not going to ask their permission anymore. I'm not going to ask their advice anymore because they're not qualified for advice. I'm going to find somebody who's already done what I want to do, and I'm going to use them as my inspiration. That's my new mentor. That's my new path. And just like the Theodore Roosevelt man in the arena, right? I don't want to be in the stands with someone else's name on the back of my jersey critiquing how they're playing. I want to be in the field where they say getting bloody, getting marred, and at least at the end, I'm going to paraphrase this terribly, but at the end of that, if you don't know it, go Google man in the arena. At the end, it says, at least I know that I went out in the field and I tried my hardest and I got back out when I got knocked down. But at best, being out in the game allowed me to live into who I'm meant to be.
It's so true.
Right? Like you want to be in the game. I want my name on the back of the jersey. I'd rather have my name and say, we lost the game, but you fought like hell, than being in the stands going, oh, he should have done that, you know?
It's so true. Yeah, my favorite line is about those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. And it's what it reminds me of is that it's not just about victory. He says just as equally, nor defeat. That other people who don't try, they also don't feel what that feels like because there's so much learning and
the
failure.
other side of defeat is when you win, it's just that much. It's that much. It's that much. So much more empowering because you know both sides rather than living kind of this flat life.
Yeah. The sweat and tears are worth it. That is for sure. One thing I was thinking about is we talk a lot about the difficulty, how hard this is, the hard work that happens. And I think that's really important for $1 million, like when you want to make your first $1 million. But is hard work really the only thing that matters?
No. I mean, and I know everybody listening probably knows that to be true because, I remember driving to my office. I live in Phoenix. That's where your parents live, right? Did you grow up in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah. So summers in Phoenix.
Yeah. Not fun.
Right? What's that?
Not fun.
Not fun. But I remember somebody asked me that question about hard work. When I drive to my office in summer when it's 113 and there's a bunch of guys on top of a flat roof putting tar down. And I remember the day I saw them. And I remember literally saying a prayer for them, right? Because I did that kind of work when I first started, right? but they're not working harder than me. I mean, I'm not working harder than them. Sorry, I'm not working harder than them. They're on a roof at 109 degrees. That tar is hotter than that. It's probably 150 to them. They're all wrapped up so they don't get sunburn. They're working hard, but they're not in the right boat, rowing in the right direction. And I wish all of them the best. And some of them are like my grandparents who were immigrants to this country, and they had to start that way. And look where I get to be 2 generations later. So they might be planning the foundation for their grandchildren to live into who they can be, right? So it's not just hard work. It's a combination of that hunger and hard work, but being in the right industry that's growing, not dying. It's about modeling proven practices. It's about not giving up. It's about stamina. It's about moving forward. It's about realizing that the prize is at the end of the journey, not at the beginning of the journey. All those little things are all part of it. So hard work alone isn't enough.
Yeah. I think that was a big lie that was told to me too, when I was young. And it's not a malicious lie, but it's a real one, which is, the harder you work, the more money you make. And I do think the harder you work, the more opportunities you get.
Of course.
And then
absolutely.
you get to seize those. But I'm wondering, so if we say now, it's not just hard work. How do you figure out what work matters? How do you figure out if you are doing the work that will make you more money or just being busy?
Yeah, it's so good. I think I used to draw this on a whiteboard and picture like a bullseye, right? There's an outer ring, and then a dot in the middle. And there are things that you do, that I do, that when we do them make us the most money in our company, right? If I had to ask you, what do you think moves the needle for you the most? Is it relationships and negotiating deals of buying a business?
Relationships, hiring.
Right. So let's just say, I'm just going to throw out a crazy number. When you're in that center circle, you make $10,000 an hour. Excuse the round number. And then the outer rings, there's stuff that you still do, we all do, that someone would do for $20 an hour. True?
True.
Right? And you're just like in a hypnotic rhythm. You don't even realize you're still doing certain things. You're still searching emails and you're still staying up doing text messages. You're like, oh my gosh, AI could do this, or someone else could do it. I could automate this. I could delegate this, or I could just eliminate this, right? But each of us, if we can build our businesses and thinking through, there are certain things I do. When I do it, it's $1,000 an hour, $10,000 an hour, $100,000 an hour, whatever it is, because it's so unique. I would just say, polish that diamond. Get better at the thing that moves the needle the most. Try to recognize that. And that's where your energy, your effort should go. And then it's, how do you get an ROI? By letting people do the stuff in the outer rings. And it's an evolution. It doesn't happen overnight. The way I used to explain it is, kick all the stuff you could get somebody $20, $30 an hour. Can you make $20, $30 an hour doing the thing you do? Everybody goes, yes, I absolutely can. Great. Then hire somebody to do that outer ring. I don't know if it's a personal assistant that stops you from going to Home Depot and stops you from dropping your dry cleaning off and stops you from grocery shopping and stops you from cleaning your house. Get somebody to do that, but replace that time immediately with the needle mover. And then as you get more and more in business, you get closer to the ring. There might be a time where something's $300 an hour, but you're making $3,000 an hour, so you still hire the COO, who's that much money because you get to do your thing. And I think that's just a different way to look at it. I got to tell you a quick story. Is my mom came to visit me, I don't know, probably 7-10 years ago. I live in Arizona. She lives on the East Coast. So she comes out, and this has been my philosophy forever. And the reason I work so hard is I retired my mom when I was young. My parents split. She didn't have money. She worked 3 jobs. If I look back on my first memory of wanting to be successful was to retire my mom. One of the sweetest women in the world. I like to think of her as a badass without a blueprint. Like, she's such a good woman. She just didn't know what to do with herself. So she cut hair, cleaned houses, painted houses, just manual labor to get. So long story short, she worked hard her whole life. And one of the reasons I worked hard is because of her. Anyway, long story short, she comes to my house and she's there for a couple of days. And she said, babe, I realized your garbage bins are filled. When do you drag them out to the street? What day comes? I'll bring them out for you. I'm like, I don't know, Mom. She goes, what do you mean? When do you take the garbage out? I said, I never have. She goes, you've lived here for 5 years. She goes, baby, don't tell me you pay someone to take your garbage out. I said, I don't just pay somebody to take my garbage out. I pay people to change my light bulbs, to go fill up my gas in my car. And I named all those things. She goes, oh my God, I think you got too big for your britches, honey. And I said, sit down, Mom. And you've never made more than $30,000 in your whole life. Let me tell you how it really works. When someone's getting gas in my car, changing a light bulb, mowing my yard, taking out my garbage, picking up my dry clean, I'm in there writing my book, or I'm writing a sales letter, or I'm building a new course, or I'm doing new training. And when I'm in that computer working, I might make $10,000 an hour. They mow my lawn for $60 in that hour. Which one should I do? And I remember my mom, she got it immediately. She goes, this is why I'm always broke. I always was broke. Like, she got it. I mean, no one ever just taught her that simple philosophy. So I tell her that as an example. What moves the needle in your life, and do more of it. And as you do more of it, get people to help you with the things on the outer rings. And through time, the greatest gift would be that you live in your core competency. And that's where real business is.
It's so true. I think people don't tell other people that because society makes us think that it sounds bad. They make us think that it sounds bad to say, I hire somebody else to fill my gas tank. I hire somebody else. They go, oh, are you too big for your britches? That must be nice.
No,
if
I have
you were
more
a rich
impact to
person.
make.
Exactly.
And the person,
but you have to
and the
know how to
person
fight
doing
back.
that, and the cool part is the person doing it appreciates the job that they get to do that.
You're being too rational. This is not how it works. in
Oh, yeah,
2025.
I'm sorry, no common sense here. Let me do the opposite of common sense.
That's not how this works on the internet. But it's a beautiful unlock because it's the truth. And what would you rather do? Do you want to feel right and virtuous, or do you want to win and actually make massive impact? And I think more people should want to make an impact and win than signal that they are somehow a good person through non-action. What does it take to make $100 million? Is it just more of the same?
No, I think I said it earlier, but every level has a new devil, right? And you and I have had conversations about this. The thing that got you out of like the thing that gets you out of Egypt doesn't take you to the promised land. So you can, as a rugged individualist, I heard that term, so I'm kind of just utilizing it. But like as that driver that has a core competency, good at finding businesses, good at making things happen, that takes you to a certain level. And then there's this phase where your business skyrocketed here. And I'm just going to share this with everybody. This is the part when it skyrockets. And right at that edge, whether it's 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, you think you're going to crack because you're doing all of it. I'm on the road. Like, let me use an example. I'm doing the podcast. I'm on the road. I'm the one on social media. I'm the one that's making the decision. I'm the one closing the deals. Oh my God, I don't even know if this is worth it. I'm about ready to crack. When you start hearing people say, I wish I had a twin. I wish I had the perfect operator. I wish I could hire the CEO that takes all this off my plate. That is the time that you need to obsess on leadership skills. That is the time where you have to learn how to bring in the right generals and how to get a team behind you and alongside of you where you collectively, there's, in my opinion, there's no way to go from 10, 20, 30 to 100 without a team where all of you are in the same boat, all rowing in the right direction and not you babysitting. I'll tell you the other thing I did wrong for years is I was really good at hiring young, amazing soldiers, like A players that I could see their potential and mentoring them and training them to be amazing and turning them into leaders. That worked at $5, $10 million a year. It didn't work at the higher level because I'm already maxed out of my brain. I'm already like, I don't even know if I have time to go to the bathroom today, right? Like, what do you mean there's a dance recital today? Oh my God, right? Like, I remember all those moments. And you don't have the time to mentor for 3 years to make that general, right? I think I'm just using terms soldier versus general. So there's this time where you have to build such a strong culture and be so good at bring people in that you got to bring in generals who immediately adapt to your culture and they're the wind behind your sails. They got your back. They talk amazing about you when you're not in the room. They understand you're a crazy ass entrepreneur that changes stuff and invents stuff. And for your kind of company, my kind of company, it doesn't mean it's all the same. There was a crazy ass entrepreneur who started it. You need operators and people on the team that know how to work with entrepreneurs, not the typical traditional company and CEO and CFO and these are the decisions and these are the, it's like, no, we're a little crazy, but the craziness got us here. So I think the 20 to 100 is understanding leadership, bringing in generals and getting everybody aligned. And, you know, culture you can go down a road of culture forever. It's really, you got to get people with the same values as you. And when you do and you align, it is magical to watch that next level.
Yeah, it's so wild. Early on, I think the problem is a lot of people listening, if they're new in their entrepreneurial journey, will be like, shut up leadership, shut up culture, shut up hiring.
Yeah, of course.
It sounds too far away.
Yep.
It's like, tell me how to make the money right now myself. But then what I found is like level 2, 3, 4 entrepreneurs, the only thing they want to talk about is leadership and hiring.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk tactics at all because at a certain point, it's not the tactics that'll get you there. It's like, tell me what your org chart looks like. How do you incentive align compensation plans? What does an equity payment plan look like? And so if you can start getting interested in the boring things that you almost don't quite understand at
they're
an
coming.
early level.
Because they're coming.
Yeah, you'll
And
get there
here's the cool
farther.
part is, think of it this way. Always, if you did it in an 80-20 split, 80% of your time should be focused on the company you are. And 20% should be on the company you're becoming. So if you think through that lens, what Cody and I are saying is you don't have to focus obsessively on leadership at 100 million if you're ready to do your first million. We're just showing you the path. We're future pacing you so you can see it when you get there. But I would say you have to work on the company you are. But if you just spent 10 or 20% going, but when I get there, what should I do? Oh, maybe I'll just start reading one leadership book a quarter just to see. And slowly these little tactics, and all we get to, like, what I hope today, I know there's a million things you could be doing, but if you're listening to us today, all I hope is that we shorten the learning curve for you. If there's something that would have taken you a year on your own, 5 years on your own, you go, maybe I could do it in 8 months instead of a year. Maybe I could do it in 3 years instead of 5. And that's the gift of modeling proven practices. Because I've already failed more than most, right? So why fail in the areas where I failed when you can learn it sooner?
You're also a genius at the first stage of a company that matters all the way through to billion-dollar companies, which is product creation, and figuring out, do I have an offer and a product that is not going to be something I have to muscle people into buying continuously, but going to be so good that they're going to thank me for selling it to them.
Yeah.
How do you know if your product or business is a good one and whether you should leave it or you should run with it?
This might sound a little foo-foo, but if you fall in love with your clients, if you create something that you would create for family, sell a product, a service, and if your family went into the business and got served, how would you feel? How would they feel? So I know that sounds a little, like I said, but you got to fall in love with your clients. If you fall in love with your clients, then you fall in love with their outcome. Whether you're a service business or a product business, you fall in love with they used the product and oh my God, they used your coaching. Oh my God, they used you in a service, to service their home or their car. Oh my God, it was amazing, right? So if you fall in love with the client, you fall in love with the product and the outcome, then there's no way you can't feel good about selling it and promoting it. Right? When people ask me, how do you stand in front of the McConaughey event? Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people live and you sold this product. Because I watched this guy work his tail off and it was such a good product. I never felt like I was selling. I was doing people a disservice if I didn't let them know about it. Right? So you said, how do you know? Is it a product or a service that you would recommend to everybody? Because when people ask me, and I'm just going to say, I know I just said this, but people ask me, what's the secret to selling at such a high level? Is you don't have to like your product. You have to freaking love it, right? And it doesn't mean it has to be perfect out of the gate, but start with the thing you love, ideate, iterate, look at get feedback from the customers, adjust and tweak. And when you know it's better than anybody else, there's just this extra push of marketing. There's this extra push of sales. There's a lot of times people ask me, can I give you a $250,000 a day for consulting? And I really don't have time for doing it. But sometimes if I really like the person, I will. And when they talk about their product, I could tell they don't love it. I could tell they like it, but they make excuses. Well, people don't use that kind of thing anyway. Oh, it breaks anyway. Oh, that's what everybody does in our industry. I'm like, you'll never have a marketing team or a sales team because you're the leader and you're not absolutely in love with it. And sometimes it might be boring. I say, go back to the drawing board. Fall in love with your product again, like when you first launched the company, before it got diluted, before someone else was the part of the fulfillment and you don't even look at it anymore. Go listen to your customer service calls. Go look at the feedback. Go Google your name online and your product and read all the shitty stuff on there and make your product better. You'll automatically build a different sales department. You'll automatically build a different coaching department. And then you don't care. Then you want to go to 100 million, 200 million, $1 billion because you get to change more people. They have a better experience.
It's so true. And you know what's so interesting is that most people won't do that second part, which is instead they'll make excuses why they said that online.
That person's
why that
lazy.
happened.
They don't like anything. They don't like the dinner. They don't like, right?
Exactly. And we have a rule at our company that you're never allowed to talk badly about a customer, ever.
I love
it's
it.
not that the customer's
Same
always
here.
right. I don't actually believe that.
I don't believe that either.
But you are never allowed to talk bad
But
about the customer.
even with someone who isn't right, I always find an essence of truth.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we do provide customer service that's great, but why are we taking 6 hours to get back to people? Can we get it to 3?
Yeah.
Can we get to 30 minutes? Like there's always a glimpse of truth in it. And I think if you have the courage to read the critics, it doesn't mean you have to cave. It just means take that advice. Because I mean, it is the greatest gift you could give your entire company is to love what you do.
Yeah, it's very true. And you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like when you sell something, I can feel from you the energy that comes from the fact that you actually think, I mean, you call it like getting your customer to want to ask you for the next step, which I love. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that. I think a lot of companies die because they try to sell somebody one thing once. And so they're trying to get this whole universe of people to buy one thing from them once. A lot of successful companies, they get one customer and they want to serve them for life, which is what you obsess about. Can you talk about how to get customers for life and how you can get them to say thank you for offering them the next step continuously?
Yeah, a great question. So maybe I could use it through the lens of a live event, just because it'd be the same model of any company. So what I love to think about is the end in mind. And at the end, I ask myself 3 questions. Who's my ideal client, right? What is their ideal outcome when they use our product? And what product would supply that? I know it sounds like isn't that what everybody does? Not really. Just think, like, for example, if somebody's going to work with Tony and I, and we're going to teach them how to create a workshop or a mastermind or create a course or write a book, at the end result, who I love working with is people really hungry. They're just not sure what to do. I don't want people that have bought a million courses on how to get rich for doing nothing, because I can't serve them. I don't want people that don't want to do the work. They just want the outcome, because they're never going to be an ideal client for me. So if I know our ideal client is someone who is hungry as heck, they're brilliant without a blueprint. Let's say that, right? They know they want to do something different. They're unfulfilled in their current business or their current career. They want to do something different. They're hungry. They're willing to do the work. Cool. Ideal client. Love you. Number 2 is, what is their ideal outcome? We show them a path. They don't give up on themselves. They get an unstoppable mindset. Then they have a blueprint to start and scale their business. That's the ideal outcome. They're making sales online and they feel some purpose in their life, right? The third thing, what's the ideal product? Well, I need the training. I need some AI that thinks like Tony and I. We need some accountability to help you when you get stuck. All the things I wish I had when I first started, right? So if I know that's my ideal client, my ideal outcome, ideal product, then I work backwards on all the marketing I do, whether it's a free podcast or a book I'm selling. I want to market to those people knowing they're going to end up there. They might end up in our world. They might end up in a high-level mastermind or something like that. But my marketing, I want to attract those I want and push away those that I don't. So my marketing looks for the brilliant without the blueprint, the hustlers, the hungry ones. They're finally fed up with leaving their life the way it was. And if I do that, then they're going to stay in my ecosystem forever. And then the way I look at it is, each product you build, I'm sorry I'm doing this through a live event, or kind of our company's phase, but I hope it relates to every business, is I look at building every piece of your company so good that they're like, gosh, that was so good. What's next? Right? So your book, amazing. As soon as I started reading it, I posted immediately about it. But it was amazing. And if I read that book, just like I read McConaughey's book, I read McConaughey's book. I'm like, what's next? It wasn't, and this is where people mess up. Some people think, hey, I need to upsell all this stuff. Like, there's nothing worse than a service provider that comes over. It's like $50, we're going to clean everything in your house. And then they get there, it's like, well, it's actually $500 because we got to change the thing. Like, it feels sneaky rather than saying, it is so clean, everything's done, your stuff is good. Hey, while I'm here, would you like? There's just a subtle difference between how much can we sell people, or how do we meet them at these different levels. Yep. So in our business, Tony and I, in May, on May 15th, we're doing a 3-day event, for example. We're going to give massive value to people for 3 days. No obligation. It's free. But we want to deliver so much value that a group of people go, heck, if I want to be in this industry, I want to work with them. Yeah. And at each level, I try to create everything they need, right? So for us, somebody who says, I just want this what they're offering. It's unbelievable. I'm in. But I want to deliver so much value that if they go, hey, I kind of need more help, that they go, these guys were so good. Hey, do you have what's next? So the way I look at it for any business, your lifetime value of your client determines everything, right? I promise you, no matter what business you're in, if you are a one and done, every Monday your business starts over again. Yeah. Every Monday you're fighting for new clients. What about building a product so good that anything they need in advancements of that they stick with you, right? If I read your book, I would be hoping that you had a coaching program. And I hope if I crushed it in your coaching program that you have a consulting that would help me buy companies or help me understand how to grow this business. Or I would hope that someday if I'm killing it, I could be in proximity to you and you had a mastermind, no matter what it costs, that I could ask you questions directly. You would be doing people an absolute disservice if you didn't have all those pieces in your company. And again, if you can make it so when you do the first thing, it's so good, people go, you over-delivered on that. What's next? Because what people don't realize, it is way easier to get a happy client to upgrade than it is to go find another brand new client in your door. And if you think about advertising, probably if you own a business, you know you spend money on advertising. Who wins in advertising?
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. Who else wins in advertising? You know who wins in advertising? Those that can afford to spend the most to acquire a client. Yeah. So if you and I have similar, but say we both have a service business. We service air conditions, right? We're in the AC business, right? If you're a one and done and your customer's lifetime value is, hey, we go see this person once and we get an average $1,000 for a client with a $200 profit, whatever it is, right? But I service them so well. And while they're there, they say, oh my God, if I need this, and then I need this, and then I need this. At the end of the year, your client's worth $1,000 to you. At the end of the year, my client's worth $5,000 to me. When I go to advertise, I could spend $2,000 to acquire that client. You can only spend $300. Who wins?
You.
Right. So it's not just a matter of selling more. It's about serving them at every level, knowing your lifetime value. You should know 6 months, 1 year, and 3-year lifetime value. Reverse engineer, and that's what you can afford to acquire a client. And most people don't do that. They're one and done, and that's why they struggle.
Yeah, you taught me that, actually, because in finance, what I did previously in private equity, when we buy a company, we have these LPs. We have them sort of trapped for like 5 to 7 years.
Right.
We don't have to continuously sell them in that way. If we get a return at the end of 5 to 7 years, they're with us again for another time. But as I've gotten into this space and thought about education in particular, when we created the book, I wanted to make sure that the book had every single thing in it that they needed to buy a business. And you accomplished it. I think so. And that was my goal. I was like, we're not going to hold anything back. Everything goes in there. But the problem is that if you only have the book, but you don't have a hand to hold, I think your success in buying a business is going to be lower.
Think about the greatest gym you could ever go to.
Mm-hmm.
Think of a gym that holds nothing back. They have the greatest equipment. They have an oxygen chamber. They have hot sauna. They have red light therapy. They have spin, yoga, free weights, everything. It's got everything you need to get in shape. But what do most people need to get in shape? Accountability. So the way I look at it in our space is give them everything they need. If they can accomplish it on their own, amazing. That's how you get a good reputation. Yeah. Cody wrote a book that's everything you need. Raising my hand, though, I need someone to help me. I need somebody to keep me accountable. That's how they go, Cody, do you have anything else?
Yep.
Can you hold me accountable? Right. And then it's usually, one more thing, especially in this space, but maybe you can relate it to any business you're in. It's usually not more stuff that you share. It's helping people actually do the thing that's in the book.
It's less right stuff at the right time for them, which is what we've been obsessing on lately. Like there's so much you can learn about acquisitions, but if you learn about how to finance the deal and you haven't even figured out what a deal looks like for you, it's going to be kind of useless.
True.
So it's like, how do we pace you exactly to the spot that you need so you don't get overwhelmed, so you don't get discouraged? Because I think, and I've heard you say before, that it's not hard to start a business. It's hard to keep going in the business when nothing's working,
yeah.
right? And so what do you do when Dean has like a night of difficulty and darkness and a business is struggling? What do you do to keep going in the impossible moments in your life?
Yeah, I've never had one of those. Just kidding.
This week? Today?
I mean, before I came? I love the question, and you probably have heard this when people say, as you get successful, are there less problems? And what I like to say is, Jim Rohn, old personal development guy, used to say, if for things to get better, you got to get better. So if I translate that into problems, is don't wish for problems to go away. Wish to get better at dealing with bigger problems. If you and I are in a room with 10 people and they're all successful, the most successful person in that room handles bigger problems than you do. If they're more successful than you, they handle bigger problems, right? So when those things happen, when it goes sideways, and maybe because I just time decades in business, I don't I think there's a misnomer that I appreciate the failures because it makes me stronger. No, I hate every freaking one of them, right? But I do know at this phase of my life that every problem I solve sharpens the iron. No one's ever going to get me again. Yep. I'm never going to make that mistake again. I solve something bigger. I solve something stronger. So what drives me through is two things. I still have my old deep beliefs that got me going in the first place, that I need to be in control of my decisions, my calendar, I want to be that dad. I take my kids to school every day. I make them breakfast. I do as much as I can with my kids. I never want to miss date night. So I have these things in my mind that are like my compelling why that make me put tears in my eyes. So when I'm having a bad day, I'll go all the way back I don't want to go backwards. I want my kids to have choices, and I need to be in control of my calendar. Get this shit done. Excuse my language. Get it done. Make it happen. But secondly, I don't love the experience, but I know because of doing it that if I go through the storm, I am a better version of me on the other side of the storm. I went through a divorce. That was a storm. I'm a better man on the other side of it. I've almost gone broke. I almost quit. On the other side of it, I'm a better, stronger man. So I've come to realize that I need to focus on the other side of it and what carries me through.
Yeah, it's so good.
If I share one more thing is I work out every day, right? And everybody says,
look at those veins, man. Yeah, 56, looking good.
Well, thank you. But
Lisa's
it's just,
hot too. So.
She is. I got to stay. Well, that's what I was going to say. When people say to me, oh, you love working out that much? I'm like, no, I don't like working out at all. I wake up at 4:45 every day and work out before my day starts. No, I don't like it most days. But what I focus on, and this is, you really hear me on this one. If you get nothing else from this podcast, take this. I don't focus on the workout. I don't focus on how many sets I'm going to do. I focus on, my wife is hot as hell, and I need to look good for her. I like the way she looks at me. So I focus on, hey, I'm going to continue to look good. I focus on that my 18-year-old and 16-year-old, they just started working out. I've never told them to. Both of them work out, my son obsessively, because they watch their dad every morning at 5 o'clock work out. I feel better. I have more mental clarity. I even stack it. Every day when I work out, I listen to a podcast or a book. That's how I burn through your book. It's how I listen to your podcast and other people. So I feel like I'm getting smarter. I'm trying to look good for my wife. I'm setting an example for my kids, and I feel better. I focus all of my energy on how I'm going to feel when I'm done, and then I just do the workout. And it's the same thing in business. When the thing goes wrong, when the CEO leaves and takes 2 employees with you, you're like, how can I get through this? I focus on when I understand what I did wrong to hire the wrong person or not nurture that person. When I understand what I did wrong, I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to be better off, stronger. My business is going to go up, and I just focus on that.
Dean Graziosi, it's just like some adrenaline right to the veins every time I talk to you. Where I want to end with is I think people are going to take a lot from this. There's so many things that they're going to take here. But I've heard you say a line that's stuck in my head so intensely. It keeps me up at night sometimes. And the line is that procrastination is the highest form of self-abuse. Mm-hmm. So with people listening today, if you're going to take one thing away, how do you, Dean, make sure that you never become the procrastinator who says they're going to do a thing and never actually does it? And maybe people listening can become that same person and take 1 or 2 things and go do the damn thing today.
So I'm going to give you 2 things. I'm going to tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to remind me of the 3 C's that helped me change that. Number 1, what all of us as parents, we do the best we can. That's it. So I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent, but there's something I've been telling my kids forever. When my son will say to me, hey, I'm going to get straight A's, or I'm going to keep my room clean, or I'm going to eat cleaner, or I'm going to work out. I'm going to work out 7 days a week. The answer I've told my kids forever is like, hey, you don't have to promise me anything, but don't make a promise to yourself that you break, because it's a habit. I'm going to work out 7 days a week. I'm going to stop eating bread. Like something as simple as saying, I'm going to stop eating so much bread. And then you eat bread all week. I'm going to stop having 4 cups of coffee. I'm going to have 1. But you still have 4 cups of coffee. When you lie to yourself, it becomes a pattern and you get used to letting yourself down. Do not let yourself down. Don't worry about what anybody else thinks, what anybody else feels. If you make a promise in the mirror, be the person that's know that your word is freaking iron to you. So that like I watch my kids when they say something, whoa, before you put that out there, are you sure? All right, I'm going to commit to 5 then, Dad. All right, commit to 5. I'm not going to check you. If you don't do it, it's your failure, right? So that's number 1. Number 2, there's 3 C's I always think about. And the 3 C's are this. Number first is change. We have to embrace change. We have to fall in love with change. The one constant in our life is change will always happen, no matter what. When you think you got it figured out, stuff will go sideways. When you think you're at the last breath, you figure out how it, and all of a sudden your business starts to grow. We have to learn to embrace change. Do we have to embrace it because AI is coming? Decide not to use AI and watch where you are in a year if you're in business. You're going to be behind. You'll never catch up. You have to embrace change, especially in this world with technology. And you can't bury your head in the sand. So learn to fall in love with change, just whatever it takes, because you have to realize if you don't change, you die. If you want, read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Realize you had to go out in the maze and find new stuff. So the first C is change. The second one is courage, right? Courage is the precursor to confidence. Everybody says you need confidence. Confidence only comes after you're playing the game. Courage comes when you have to blindly, it's jumping out of the plane and growing wings on the way down, right? And borrow courage from the past, borrow something, your big personal why, but something that makes you take that uncomfortable action, because you're not going to build the third C, confidence, until you're in the game. But then once you do, that confidence becomes intuition, it becomes gut feeling, it becomes drive. But at every level, I go back to, Dean, this is a big one. We got to embrace this change. Right? We got to embrace it. I need the courage to move forward. I'll borrow it from the past, whatever I got to do to move forward. And then once I'm in it, I start building confidence through the failure and success.
So good, Dean. All right. You heard it here first. Don't fucking wait. Get going. Dean Graziosi, thanks for being here.
Great.